Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
We're gonna be kids.
Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Win and you're in. That is the equation, at least for the time being, for St Kilda this afternoon as they take on Hawthorn under the roof here at the Docklands in what should be a pretty hot contest. Hawthorn, on the other hand, they're going for 4 in a row this afternoon, showing some good form and beating a couple of teams around them on the ladder. Something for Sam Mitchell and his coaching staff to get very excited about late in this season heading into next year. Good afternoon and welcome to St Kilda and Hawthorn at the Docklands. Andrew Mays with you on this Saturday afternoon. If you've just missed it, Collingwood have beaten Port Adelaide by 6 points. And, of course, the Sydney derby is going on at the moment. 15 minutes played there. Sydney 54 points up on GWS. So what that does in terms of the ladder sees St Kilda in 9th, chasing the Western Bulldogs in 8th. Difference only percentage at the moment. So if Geelong can get over the Dogs tonight, St Kilda might well, with a win this afternoon, be in the 8th at the end of this round. Calling it alongside me is Chris Rowbottom. Chris, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mays. It should be an intriguing sort of fixture this afternoon here at Docklands. Hawthorn playing an improved brand over the past month, and as you mentioned, St Kilda's still all to play for. Yeah,
massive game for the Saints, so I'm sure it'll be, in terms of the finals narrative at least, all about them this afternoon. A couple of men who know a lot, and I mean a lot, about finals. Brad Sewell and Mick Malthouse. Sully, good afternoon to you.
G'day, gents. And Mays, you summed it up. Saints win and they're in. So you don't need much more motivation than that, do you? But importantly for Hawthorn, Mitch would love this position to be a favourable one, and that they've got everything to play for. They can really use this as a launch pad the last sort of month of football.
Yep.
And ruin some parties.
Couple of big outs too. Billings and Gresham, obviously, for the Saints, will hurt them. Hanbury comes in for his first game since round 23 last year, and there's been a late change for the Saints as well. So Tom Campbell was due to play. They were running with a couple of ruckmen, but he's been taken out of the team at the very last minute, and Owens comes in. It means that Burns will be the sub for the Hawks. 3 changes: Kazitsia, Jath and Butler in, Impey Reeves and Granger Barras all out of the team this afternoon. Jecker will be the sub. Mick, how much of a difference does having those two key pillars? Obviously, Jack Billings, you can almost put him down for 20 and a goal most weeks, and then Jake Gresham, he's electric through the midfield, had a really good season. How much does that hurt the Saints?
Yeah, good, Maisie, and welcome to our listeners. Jack Billings has had an indifferent season because of his injury, got back, and it's just a shame that he's hurt his back because you just love seeing him play. He's a young player that's got a lot of enthusiasm, love for the club. Jack Gresham, well, if he's not their best player, then he's pretty close to it. And to take him out, what happens to the Saints midfielders, they start to lose class. They start to lose a little bit of, I suppose you'd call it speed with the ball.
Yep.
So I'd be interested to see now what they do because, you know, you say that the Saints know that if they win, they're in the 8, okay, until another game's been played. But this has happened now 4 or 5 weeks, and they haven't been able to deliver. They've only done it a couple of times instead of putting the foot down. And Brett Ratton has been the first to say they've either lacked intensity, but then they go away on Monday and have a bit of a discussion. I don't know why you have to wait till Monday to work out what's in front of you. Hawthorn on the other side of the coin, their season has been patchy until they've started to get their mojo, and they've got the last 4. So this is going to be a tough game for the Saints to win. It's something that they need to do, and they need to be able to beat a side that fancy themselves.
Heard Sam Mitchell talk about their performance a little earlier in the year against St Kilda, where they were comprehensively beaten by 69 points at the MCG, describing it as one of their worst performances of their season so far. So Mitch will be, I'm sure, pumped to try and get his team over the line today and get a bit of revenge for that early season result. Tips, gentlemen. First of all, Mick.
I'm just the Saints, just. And you know what? I'm going to say that Windhagen's got to be the player that's got to close a midfielder down.
Sully?
I like the Hawks.
All right. Should one each. I like that. Always good to start under the roof here at the Docklands. It's St Kilda and Hawthorn. Here's Chris Rowbottom.
Underway. McAvoy won the tap. O'Meara chases it down. Hassled by Ross. Picked up by Morrison, who got the handball out, missed his target though. There's an early free kick. It'll go the way of Hawthorn. Connor Nash has it in the middle of Docklands. He was pushed in the back. He goes short where Morris awaits and takes the mark. He'll use Nash again by hand, put him under a little bit of pressure, but he was good enough to evade. His kick was no good though. It'll work out. It ends up with Jath at left half forward. Off to Ward now. Left foot ball inside 50. Over the head of McDonald, tracked to the boundary by Clark, and it'll be a boundary throw-in 15 metres around from the left-hand behind post, early stages of this first term.
Sully, I know that you follow a little bit about the Hawks. Newcomb, would he expect to be tagged today?
He's getting close to it, isn't he? He's been pretty consistent.
Well, he's getting tagged.
Yeah, there you go.
He's getting tagged, and it'll be interesting to see how the two kids go against each other.
Toss back into play, Bruce. Hand pass off to O'Meara. Snap towards goal. He's hooked it back a little too much. Through for the first score of the afternoon. It is a behind. Hawthorn 1 behind. St Kilda yet to score after a minute.
Jack Sinclair with kicking duties. What a season he's putting together. Goes short into the left back pocket, and the Saints exit defensive 50 now. Long kick up the outer side. Newcomb force the contest. It'll be off hands and over the boundary line for another stoppage.
You should see how Hanbury goes today too. I've been a critic of their draft, not because of their family, but he just hasn't worked out at all, and he was injured before he came to the club.
And it comes. Marshall took it straight out of the ruck, progressed things by 20 metres for St Kilda. Morris might have got in the back of his opponent in Higgins, and he did on the outer side. So free kick to St Kilda on the logo. Centre wing outer side. They'll go inside 50. Getting to the front was King. Blank did well to spoil the footy over the boundary line. We'll have another boundary throw in. 65 metres around from St Kilda's goal.
Another big afternoon for Blank, paying on King. A chance to test himself.
He's had some big jobs to start his AFL career. Toss back into play. Marshall from behind over the top of McAvoy. Back into the scrimmage. It was actually dragged underneath Hill. He just popped it out at the last moment, and then Morris is taken down in a pretty strong tackle. Ball going nowhere. It'll be a ball up 60 from the Saints goal. They trail by 1 behind. Palmed down by McAvoy. Only as far as Membry though. He's dispossessed. Hardwick tried to soccer it out of his hands. Lovely handball coming the way of Ross, who's tight in the pocket, puts it to the top of the square. Morris is there though for the Hawks to get back and take the mark. Read it better than Higgins, who'll be marched back to the 9.
Not a good kick. Either kick the goal or centre it, because that is just laid down for the Hawks defence to now run the ball out, which they will.
Morris had the short option in Blank. He used Jaff by hand, ran into some trouble, but eventually fired off the handball to Nash. Kicks up the near side wing. Back of the pack was Gunston. Couldn't take it cleanly. At the full though was O'Meara, who just got rid of Webster. In fact, it was holding the ball. He just dropped it as he bounced off Webster, and the umpire wasted no time in penalising Jager O'Meara. It'll be a free kick to St Kilda. In fact, it'll go to Mason Wood, who goes back into the defensive 50 where Callum Wilkie marks. He spreads things a little wider.
So the Hawks will wake up to this. The Saints go wide all the time, and they just take their man with them, and then they get trapped on the other side of the ground, so it ends up having to be a long, laborious kick inside their forward, or didn't even get to the forward line.
Ron Marshall had the kick up the line. Dylan Moore took possession. He was wrapped up by Jack Steele. Full 360 holding the ball. St Kilda free kick on the logo. Centre wing out of side.
Steele, short kick ahead is okay to Windhager, who can turn and go quickly, although he just pauses on his kick for a moment. Kick and a half from goal. He'll tuck this one into the pocket. Sicily read it too easily and dropped a sitter. That was almost a little bit too lazy there from James Sicily. Just burst out of the hands, and over it goes as he fumbled it for a boundary throw-in.
His own worst enemy at times, can't he? He was at 5 metres and clear and just grasped it.
That looked like me with my 3-year-old son earlier today down in the park. Nash Hand pass over the top is okay. He finds Ward, who ducked through a couple of tackles nicely, more it was rather, and then he switches it to Giath. Giath across the face of goal to Ward, who takes the mark. Left half back.
Josh Ward in the defensive 50 for the Hawks, the round 18 rising star. Short ball to Sicily, who has it at left half back. Up the line looking for O'Meara. Dangerous kick. Good fist from behind came from Wilkie. Got it to Higgins, who was ridden into the turf. McDonald working hard. It'll end up with St Kilda via Hanbury. Now Hill. Short ball is good to Rowan Marshall. He's just back of a wing near side. Thought about Wilkie, the short ball. Opted against it.
He's got players forward of him who could be one-on-one. It's just amazing why they do not get to that. They didn't have the confidence to go into their forward line. It's just, I find it staggering when you've got a one-on-one. You've got to back your teammate.
Kicked in the Membry direction eventually, but it was easy pickings for Sicily, who spiked it out of bounds for another boundary throw-in.
Tom Mitchell coming on for his first run, started on the interchange bench.
Hawthorn by 1-5 played, toss back into play. Newcomb strong tackle, dispossessed his opponent, off to O'Meara, snap around the corner is okay, although 50-50 contest there is won by Patton. Handball from Ross, back further to Sharman, off his left boot, Steele running through, was looking for the crumb, couldn't get it, soccers it just out of bounds, and we'll have a ball in at right half forward for the Saints.
I was wondering whether Windhomer may have gone to Mitchell Tully. He's not, he's going to stay on Newcomb and let Mitchell battle it out against, I suppose, Steele and Seb Ross.
Yep. Looks like Finn McGuinness has got Jack Sinclair as well. The other tag underway today, in from the throw-in. Ward on hands and knees for the Hawks. Fired it out to Newcomb, who went back by a hand today. Kick towards the near wing in the Moore direction. Contested ball. Hardwick met it very hardly. He was tackled. Managed to get his hands free to Mitchell. Rode the tackle back to Hardwick. Got rid of another tackler. Rode his luck. Got rid of it eventually. Found Ward, who's found a little bit of the footy early. His kick in the Lewis direction. Fists it down to McGuinness. Lewis, second effort. Went in after it. Players converge. It spills out the back. Kaczynski awaits. He was tackled by Patton. Eventually to O'Meara. It was deemed a throw. And it'll be a St Kilda free kick going to Mason Wood, just back of a wing near side.
Wood short, back inside defensive 50 to Webster.
Well, that's a surprise.
So Webster straight up the middle. This is a little bit more attacking. It pays off as well. Long has it in the centre square. He flares it out wide. Lionheart goes long and goes short instead to Higgins. Put it on top of his head. Didn't do him any favours at all. He then has to mop up his own mess. He's dispossessed. Is it holding the ball? Umpire says play on. Higgins went to assist. He's dragged over the boundary line for a throw-in forward of centre at about left half forward for the Saints.
Sloppy sort of disjointed start.
Yeah.
There's been a very few sort of consecutive possessions for each side.
In it comes Marshall and McAvoy doing the ruck work. Marshall just paddled it down to himself. Out to Leinart now. Inside 50 go the Saints. Morris at the back with the fist over the top of Higgins. Sicily sees it out. Another boundary throw in. St Kilda yet to score. Hawthorn one behind. Almost 8 minutes gone in this first term for Grandstand AFL.
I wonder if I know there's a bloke in the goal square who's 6'6" and playing on a young fella as well, and they kick the ball everywhere but where he is at the moment, the Saints.
From the ball in,
That's King.
Morrison going nowhere there. Tossed up then, Windhager tried to spin out of a tackle, got a kick away. Day, awkward half volley for him, had a fumble. Then he's taken in a strong tackle. Crouch won it back. It was okay to Marshall, who kicked an end over end ball inside 50. Well gathered by Mitchell. He cleared the immediate danger with a high kick out towards the wing. No mark taken, off hands. Lewis is there to pick up. High tumbling kick going forward. Reading it best was Webster, who takes the chest mark at half back for St Kilda, who still trail by that solitary behind, the only score of the game after 8 minutes in the opening term.
So 50-metre penalty here. It'll go the way of St Kilda. Ball with Jimmy Webster. Might have been a little bit of dissent on the way through.
Was it descent? Do you reckon?
No, I think it was Finn McGuinness trailing Sinclair through. A bit close. Unlucky.
Webster hands it off immediately to Sinclair, who puts St Kilda inside 50. Bouncing ball gathered by Wood, and he's gathered by Jath. Cries of ball from the Hawthorn faithful. Umpire says yes. Jath got him, wrapped him up beautifully, and was justly rewarded with a free kick in the left back pocket.
So that was a wasted ball by Webster. He's generally a very good kick, just picked the wrong target. He had King probably 10 metres more for his left.
Jath fires it as far as he can. Marshall reached over the top. McAvoy kicked it straight into him, so he snaps it back inside. It's attacking 50. And the mark is taken by Wood, who was matched up on Jath. Ball fell short. Wood playing in front took the mark.
It looks like Wood's playing half forward. He's played a lot of games as a winger, and I thought he started on the wing, so perhaps he has dropped forward.
So Mason Wood will start his approach from about 10 or 15 metres inside the boundary line. Right forward pocket. Should suit the left footer. He'll fire from about 40. In he comes. That is as straight as anything. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. And St Kilda have the first of the afternoon. 1 straight 6. Hawthorn 1-1-7. 10 minutes played opening term. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Brad Sewell and Mick Malthouse.
I feel like he's a bit of an enigma. Wood, he's shown glimpses of what he's capable of at the Kangaroos before coming across. We've only seen flashes. Athletically sensational in front of goal. Is also very good. Has just been unable to put consecutive games together, Mick. And you're right in terms of his starting position.
And quite amazing. He's now gone to the wing. He took that mark when the ball came back into the forward line. So that would be the worry. I know it's a good mark. I know it's a goal. But what he didn't do, Sully, was work as a winger back into the play. So what he did, he assumed that the ball would come back. Now, he should have been up where Marshall was and kicked it in. So
might be a natural forward.
Natural forwards do tend to stay forward. They do, Sully. You're exactly right. And natural forwards tend not to... They want the easier kick, Sully.
So back in the middle we go. McAvoy and Marshall. No decisive winner of the tap. McAvoy went back in after it. He was wrapped up by Marshall. We'll have a restart right in the middle of Docklands. St Kilda lead 1 straight 6 to Hawthorn. 1 behind. 11.5 gone in this first term. Marshall won it down straight to Mitchell. Handball to nobody in particular. Moore met it. He was hassled off it by Webster, who got the handball out to Crouch. Contested footy now. Morrison paddles it forward only as far as Clark of the Saints. Little toe poke from Crouch. Dale get there first from the Hawks. He was wrapped up by Long. Umpire says play on. Long went in it and got it again. Handball out to Leinart. Inside 50 go the Saints again. Membry got rid of Sicily, dropped the mark. Sicily gathered the footy, went across the ground and picked out a teammate in Hardwick, whose short ball is good out wide to Morrison.
Morrison kept going towards McDonald, who takes the mark and then has to step back over it. Just behind centre wing.
8 inside 50s to 1 at this stage. The game being played in St Kilda's half.
Long kick. It's a shallow entry. Just got inside 50. No mark. O'Meara there to Rove. Out to Mitchell. Dummies once. Then snaps inside 50. All Saints, though, swallowing that up was Wilkie. Could have raffled it.
Poor kick, Mitchell. And now Marshall creates space on the outer side. He gratefully receives. And he's got Long, who's 30 metres ahead. He hits him on the chest. And inside 50 go the Saints. Getting back and taking the mark was King. Coast-to-coast footy, St Kilda, and Max King will kick for his first of the afternoon.
Well, the Hawks will wonder why Marshall was out by himself, number one, and I've been a big fan of Long's for a long time because he just has a crack. He might get a lot of possessions, but he's just so hard at it. That left foot around his body, he's a right footer, to find King. Good mark by King, but a wonderful bit of play by Long.
So King will kick from about 30 metres out on a tight-ish angle. The left forward pocket, leans back on the kick. Never really liked it and won't register a score. So out of bounds on the full. Max King's first attempt of the afternoon. St Kilda remain 1 straight 6. Hawthorn 1 behind.
So the goal kicking coach has really worked well at the Saints. Honestly, he does not take a platform. He does. It's incredible.
Awkward kick by Scrimshaw. It's touched on the way out. Luckily, Bruce was so clean at ground level. Fired out the hand pass to Nash. Further afield to Mitchell. Little untidy. Had to go back to Nash, who just slammed it on his boot. Gained about 35, 40 metres. No mark taken. Bruce front and centre. Robes gets a toe on it. Sockers it all the way to 50. St Kilda with the numbers, though. Clark to Sinclair to Hill. Back to Clark. They're looking for a way out in the middle. He overcooks the left foot pass. Now it's Hardwick at centre half forward. Can fire them inside 50. Took a bit off the kick, but not enough. Got over the head of Moore, who's then taken to ground. Clark there to help out. His hand pass turned over. Bruce pinched his pocket. It popped out of the pack, back to Clark, and he's taken over for a boundary throw-in. Right forward pocket for the Hawks. 1 straight 6 plays, 1 behind. Hawthorn trail by 5 points after 14 minutes.
Boundary throw in, right forward pocket for the Hawks, who have locked it in. And it comes over the umpire's head. Lewis to do the ruck work, took it on the chest, straight out of the ruck. He will fire directly on goal and miss to the far side. A minus score for the Hawks. St Kilda lead 1 straight 6. Hawthorn 2 behinds. 15 minutes gone. First term for Grandstand AFL.
He's been a terrific player for Hawthorn this year, Lewis. He's just so strong. Looks like he may have hurt himself a little bit.
Yeah, he's limping as well, favouring that right leg. Hopefully he's okay. Meanwhile, the Saints work it across half-back. Mark taken by Wood. Clark was looking for the return ball. He got it as well. Then overcooked his kick for the second time in a couple of moments. Long did exceptionally well. Heard the voice. Got it to line it. Then he just blindly hand-passed forward looking for Hill, who ran into trouble. Newcomb comes in. He's cleanest of all. Overcooks his kick. Poor old Lewis can't get to the contest as he's limping out the back. Now a chance for Patton of the Saints. Fires it up forward. It bounces and pitches well for Higgins, who drives them inside 50. Long over the top. Membry, the milestone man, takes it over the pack, and he'll line up from 30 out directly in front.
Good play by the Saints. It was fortunate that Lewis couldn't move, but the Saints had that extra number, and that's where the ball, and they've been able to work transition the ball Suli from that back on the forward line quite comfortably.
Done it a few times now, haven't they, in space?
So Mitch Lewis finally gets off the field and he's straight down the race, so that doesn't look too good at all. Still not walking without discomfort. Meanwhile, Membry comes in, he misses. In game 150, would have been the perfect start. It's a behind, 1-1-7 the Saints. 2 behinds Hawthorn, 16 played opening term. Fair to say it's been a messy start.
That's a bad miss. Sicily well and truly beaten for the 3rd time there in a 1-on-1 marking contest.
Golden opportunity for the Saints, goes begging. Scrimshaw's kick was dicey. He put Ward under a whole heap of pressure. Off the pack, St Kilda ball at ground level inside the Saints forward 50. Players go in after it. And we'll have a stoppage.
Was that not a mark? Was that a mark? Was it paid as a mark? The spoil that sort of followed up. I think the player was waiting for it, but no whistle.
It was Owens who had the 2 bites at the cherry, wasn't paid. Up it goes again. Ward was ridden into the turf. Crouch is there, tackled by Moore. Players converge and we'll have another ball up, 45 metres out from St Kilda's goal. They lead 1-1-7. Hawthorn 2 behind, 17 and a half gone in this first term.
Andrew Mays, Chris Rowbottom calling the action for you. Your experts, Brad Sewell and Mick Malthouse this afternoon. Again, it gets under the pack and back under a few sets of hands, including McAvoy and Crouch. They can't be split. Umpire comes in to toss it up again. King having a run in the ruck, palmed it with the outside down to Nash, then became the tackler. Nash didn't really get a foot to the ball, although was he taken high? No, it might have been a high fend.
Yeah, I reckon it was. I was wondering why the umpire took so long. In fact, I think it should be actually King's. I think it was King's free kick, but it was a good tackle by the St Kilda player nonetheless, and it did go very high.
So Crouch has it and gives it to Lynott, who will have the journey from there, not the accuracy though. Across the face for 1 behind. Another chance goes begging for the Saints. 1-2-8 plays 2 behinds. 18 played opening quarter.
Sicily with ball in hand exits out of the goal square, kicks to the outer side, looking for Dylan Moore, who takes a great mark above his head, just back of a wing. Short ball to the bootlaces of McDonald, who was good enough to gather and send the Hawks inside 50. Kaczynski had a good look at it, but was just dragged off the mark. It spills out to Morrison, kicks back inside 50 over his head. 2-on-1 in the Butler direction. Lynott got across. Sinclair will get there first, but McGuinness isn't far away. 360. Umpire said play on. Still inside defensive 50. Saints will come away with it. Hill. Handball to Steele. Handball over the top of Butler, who just puts the shimmy on an opponent and he's away. He burns off his namesake. Handball over the top now to right half forward. Put his teammate in long under the pump. Sicily met him. Turnover affected. Hawks will come up with it. And they'll share it. An easy mark dropped inside the defensive 50. from Ward, but they'll run it through the middle of Docklands now through Morris.
Morris looking for McGuinness and finds him as well. This is the money kick, though, going inside 50. Getting out the back is Kaczynski. Can he take the mark? No, spoiled by Webster at the last moment. Can they rush the behind? Not quite. It got to the line and Gunston socketed it through from 10 centimetres out. Scores a level after 20 minutes here under the roof. Gunston's first of the afternoon, Hawthorn's first of the afternoon. We're locked up at 1-2-8 apiece.
Terrific play by Hawthorn. Nice to see McGuinness offensively get involved in the play. And then to find Kaczynski running back towards goal into space. As a key forward, Kaczynski should actually be taking that mark. He's in the box seat, was spoiled at the last moment. Gunston, as he so often does, just finds himself in the right place at the right time.
Oh, can I just take you back to the half-forward flank here, in front with Butler running free and hand passing from the 1950s, a hand pass loop that didn't even look like reaching his teammate, and made it so hard for Long. If he had kicked that ball into the goal line, there were two St Kilda players against two Hawthorn players. Now, I don't say that you're going to win that. You're not going to win the duel if you're going to hand pass like your Nichols from Carlton 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
From the restart, St Kilda go inside 50. Handball came out from Wood to Crouch. Now it's Hanbury. Little left foot up and under. Ball is an awkward one. Jath flew. Couldn't quite bring the mark down. Handball over the top now in the Morris direction. He tried to fight hard. Wicket stayed in. Did it? It did. So they battle for it on the boundary line in the left forward pocket. Sicily will come up with it and just throw his boot onto the ball, looking for territory. Onto the bootlaces of Brewster. Did well to keep it in front of himself. Saints will come up with it, though, through Webster. Fired back the handball. Inside 50 they go now, St Kilda. Fist over the top from Morris. It's on the near side in front of the commentary position. Nash met it first, put Jath under pressure. He's immediately wrapped up by Membry. Out it comes. Mitchell now, handball back into defence. Blank one way then the other. Took on Long, just got boot to ball, evaded Nash. Wood came up with it. Handball back into the corridor now. Chance for Clark to hit a target for the Saints. Missed it. Morrison got in the way. Hanbury missed his handball to Crouch. Eventually went the soccer off the ground. It'll dribble deep into attack. Morris gets back first. Short ball is good to Mitchell, who marks still inside defensive 50 for the Hawks.
I'm going to see Colindina play Geelong Amateurs tomorrow under 14. I hope it's more. I hope the skill level's higher. And my grandson will say it will be.
It's been that sort of an afternoon so far. Now Hawthorn have it across half-back. McDonald looking for a way through. Good kick too. This will open up the play. Nice pass to find Jack in the middle of the Docklands. He wants to go quickly. Doesn't hit the target. It gets there on the bounce to O'Meara. Hand pass to McGuinness, who had half a slip. Back to O'Meara. Snaps on the left. Misses everything. It bounces out of bounds just in the forward pocket.
I'll rest my case.
It's been a
Look, I hope we're describing this with some enthusiasm for those that are not watching on TV. You would have had it off on TV, so perhaps we can lighten up there, Maisie. Can you just make it a bit better?
In it comes, left forward pocket for the Hawks. Kaczynski did the ruck work, came down to Hanbury, got it off to Webster, who just hacked it outside 50. McAvoy worked in front of Mason Wood. Big tackle late. It might have been Morrison, it was. Might have been high. Umpire said no, it was clean and fair. We'll have a ball up just outside 50 on the left half-forward flank for the Hawks. McAvoy got rid of his opponent, just tapped it into the advantage of Morrison, rode the tackle, was looking for Ward with the handball. Sinclair came through, got boots of ball, kicked up the wing, but getting across and taking an impressive intercepting mark was Day.
The risky kick into the middle, almost a turnover, although Morris did extremely well at ground level. Then kicks the Hawks inside 50, overcooked that one. Marshall couldn't reach it. Webster in over the top. Marshall tries to rip it three. Patton got it out to Clark. Clark off one step, looking for a target on the wing. It's Higgins. He got the ball to Steele. Now he's looking for support. Couldn't find it. Should be holding the ball. No, it's too high. It's a dangerous tackle, actually, that's being played.
Yeah. Every day of the week. It's too high and it's a dangerous tackle. It's the double whammy.
So Steele.
It was really silly play by Hawthorn. They had covered.
Steele with the free kick on the wing. Goes inside 50. No mark taken by Ons on that occasion. Did well enough to get it to Windhager, who spun out of one tackle, dragged off his kick, only just reached Higgins. Hand pass to Hanbury. On return, bounces it home. Oh, it's a goal, a year in the making. Round 23 since he last played for the Saints in season 2021. And he's on the scoreboard here in the opening quarter. Hanbury fires them to a 6-point lead with his first of the afternoon. And St Kilda finally have a little bit of reward for their dominance in this opening term. 2-2-14 plays 1-2-8-24 played opening quarter. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Mick Malthouse and Brad Sewell.
Now, Sewell, let me ask you this question. Do you reckon he meant that kick?
Well, I was thinking good for Hanbury. Yeah. Glad to see him have an impact.
Is that his first position?
He impacted. So he almost called this turnover here in the middle of the ground. Physical, put his body on the line.
Oh, he does.
Great to see. You certainly can't knock him for that. So it has been a long year for Hanbury. So great to see him have an impact early. It's just a scrappy game. Big handballs are missing, kicks are poor, pressure's okay, but indicative probably where both sides are at.
6 disposals and a goal for Hanbury in this first term as O'Meara wins the clearance for Hawthorn, sends the Hawks inside 50, one-on-one contest brought down by Kazitsky. Bruce couldn't get the handle, Moore at ground level laid the tackle. Little rushed ball outside 50, McDonald did, well I thought he did okay to work his opponent in Butler underneath it. Umpire said no, he was infringed.
He did do okay, it's a poor call by the umpire.
St Kilda free kick. Short ball is good to Membry, who marks in front of Scrimshaw. Right half back for the Saints.
Membry spins the ball in his hand. Should have kicked the goal from 30 out directly in front himself in his milestone game. And 150. King never got a run at it at left half forward. Now Newcomb is spun around. Hand passes inboard. Jaff with work to do. Great tackle by Hill. It didn't stick. Not convinced about the hand pass, although Hawthorn can work this out through Scrimshaw. Just sits for him. Hand pass over the top. Didn't do McAvoy any favours, but he showed all his athleticism. The veteran. Hand pass was okay to McGuinness. Then inboard to Ward and now to McDonald. A low kick inside 50. No mark taken. Crouch front and centre for the Saints. He fires it straight back to Ward. Bounced off his chest. Hill in there. Newcomb as well. Bounces off a couple of hands. Now Windhager spins out and finds himself a bit of space. Flares the kick out wide to right half back where Butler has it.
Butler plays on and fires up the wing, but Sicily stands in the way, marks on his chest, goes inboard and finds Josh Ward, who's had plenty of it early. He goes across the ground to Hardwick. Releases Nash by hand now. Opposing wing inside 50 go the Hawks. Bruce at the back of the one-on-one. Went to ground. Couldn't win a disposal up. St Kilda will come up with it. Wilkie shared it with Clark. They exit defensive 50. Still not out of the woods yet though. Ended up with Nash, who went back to Morris by hand. Kazitsky direction. Wood went after it. Hassled by Moore. Kazitsky came in, gathered cleanly. Back to Nash. Now Bruce goes the fend off. Stripped of the footy by Ross, who gathered and just dumped it outside a defensive 50 and set up well was Day, who took the intercept mark.
Couple of nice intercept marks for Will Day this afternoon. Switches play beautifully too to Scrimshaw. He can fire them inside 50, never got there. Marshall chopped things off and now they're out too. He kicks quickly to the wing where King takes off. Oh, the siren's beaten him. He had a couple of players streaming back towards goal. One of them was Membry. The siren beat him at right half forward. 2-2-14 St Kilda. 1-2-8 Hawthorn in a very scrappy opening term. Wood and Hanbury, the goal kickers for the Saints, and Gunston with the only goal for the Hawks in that opening term. One straight kick the margin. You're listening to Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
What they call a contract divorce, but essentially a contract buyout.
It's madness.
Hey, the horses are to the barn. We need to all have access to these and just move forward.
On the field, it's huge.
You know, what we generally see as fans of Formula One is this happy-go-lucky larrikin who likes to have a joke.
It's your daily sports conversation and it's called ABC Sport Daily. You can find us on the Listen app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
McAvoy kicked it straight into him, so he snaps it back inside, attacking 50. And the mark is taken by Wood, who was matched up on Jack. Ball fell short. Wood playing in front took the mark. He'll fire from about 40. In he comes. That is as straight as anything. Straight over the goal umpire's hack. And St Kilda have the first of the afternoon. Morris looking for McGuinness and finds him as well. This is the money kick though, going inside 50. Getting out the back is Kaczynski. Can he take the mark? No, spoiled by Webster at the last moment. Can they rush the behind? Not quite. He got to the line and Gunston socketed through from 10 centimetres out. Scores a level. No mark taken by Ons on that occasion. Did well enough to get it to Winhager, who spun out of one tackle, dragged off his kick, only just reached Higgins. Hand pass to Hanbury. On return, bounces it home. Oh, it's a goal a year in the making. Round 23 since he last played for the Saints in season 2021. And he's on the scoreboard here in the opening quarter.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome back to the Docklands. St Kilda leading Hawthorn 2-2-14 to 1-2-8. One straight kick the margin. Andrew Mays and Chris Rowbottom calling it for you this afternoon. Mick Malthouse and Brad Sewell, your experts. Sum up that first quarter for us, gentlemen, as best you can.
Well, I'll
You want to go first, Mick?
Oh, well, look, you know, the funny thing about this, at this end of the year, you look at the final eight and you think, well, they're all playing for positions. They're playing because they want to stay in there. I've seen the Saints a couple of times, and not all they have to do, but they win the game and they go in the eight. But right now, the disposal, believe it or not, they've gone inside both 14 times inside the front 50. And when you analyse 4 from 14, that's not even 25%. You look at the other way, 3 from 14's what a fifth, so I don't know what that is either. But it certainly means that they're not capitalising on the entrances. And I'll say that about the Saints. Even the hand pass of, was it Hanbury Butler, who hand passed along and left him just... that ball goes into 30 metre. Long's then running onto a 2-2, so therefore he can make it a 3-2 opposition, and likelihood is it scored. So the option taking is just horrible. And again, Butler again from what right in front of us kicks it, had a player over the back, kicks the ball 30 metres and finds Sicily. Now that's just reminiscent of what this game is. Maybe they're trying too hard. I don't know. I don't want to be too hard because the Saints are playing for something. But I also think the Hawks are playing for something too, because there'll be a lot of players out there in Sam Mitchell's first year as a coach to say, look, you know, what are we going to do here? What sort of side do we want going forward? So there is a lot to play for. We're being a bit harsh. I think the delivery into King has been horrific, but also into the forward line of Hawthorn, which is very unusual. It hasn't been as precise as what you'd expect with.
I don't think we've been harsh, Mick. It's been horrible. And just basic skill errors. Yeah. Handballs have been missing, poor decision-making. Pressure's been okay, but not to the standard you'd expect the skill errors that are a result of. And probably what's most disappointing for St Kilda is they've got a lot on the line. And conversely, there are players out there right now for Hawthorn that are playing for positions on the list for next year.
Yeah.
And that's what Mitch is doing in terms of this last month of football.
Who do you see that?
He's working out.
Who do you reckon?
Not on notice. Give me a little bit to go through it, Mick. But he's using this back end of the year now to work out who he wants to go forward with.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen this quarter, and of course he's not judging it from one quarter, but there aren't many out there that have got a skill level to go forward right now.
One bit of good news was the fact that Mitch Lewis, who looked like he had a pretty serious right leg injury, ended the field latter stages of that opening quarter, and he's now marching to full forward for the Hawks. So that's a bit of good news out of that first quarter, because as soon as he went down the race, he looked like he'd done something quite serious to that leg. So good piece of news there for the Hawks as we're about to get underway in this second term. Sorry,
I was just going to say, isn't it good to see young Clark back playing with the horrific injuries he's copped the last couple of seasons as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2-2-14, St Kilda, 1-2-8 the Hawks. Hopefully we're onwards and upwards from here. The bounce is a bit of an anticlimax to start their second term. Went at right angles, so McAvoy hands it straight back to the umpire. We're going again in the middle. McAvoy won it down only as far as Crouch. Toe poked it straight back to McAvoy. Then on hands and knees, Crouch tried to farm out the hand pass. Worked its way to Steele. Hand pass over the top, looking for Hill, who might have been dragged off it. Umpire wave play on at ground level. Spurts out the side to Wood, to Crouch, around the corner. King, good spoil on that occasion by Blank, and it's out for a boundary throw in. Right half forward for the Saints. They lead by a goal after 30 seconds in the second quarter.
Just not be too harsh on Crouch, but nothing comes from his play. He runs wide, he takes the ball sideways, and even then that kick was just a 20-metre nothing kick.
Here's Marshall from the stoppage, kicks inside 50 for the Saints. Diving spoil came from Blank, got his knuckles to it. It was enough, it'll spill out of bounds eventually, and it's been deemed deliberate or insufficient intent. It'll be a St Kilda free kick. 48 metres out from right on the boundary line. It was knocked over purposefully, according to the umpire, by Will Day. And it'll be a St Kilda free kick to be taken by Long. So he'll set it up to the top of the goal square. McAvoy awaits. Membry got to the front, brought it down to King, who snapped over his shoulder and missed to the near side. A minor score, first score of the second term. 2-3-15 the Saints. Hawthorn 1-2-8. Early stages, second term, Grandstand AFL.
What makes him so dangerous is not only in the air, young King. How's the crumb there? And he actually dragged the ball back too far. So he's going to be an amazing player.
Shouldn't be able to do that at 202
No, not at all.
Long kick out, Lewis up over the top, socket out of that scrimmage, inside attacking 50. Not a lot of Saints there. Hawthorn with the numbers, Sicily onto it, on the bounce. His kick is okay, and then perhaps a free kick, not quite, for young Butler there, who's ushered over for a boundary throw-in, just forward of centre wing for the Saints.
It would have been so disappointing that Sicily read the play. Butler was 20 yards behind him and stayed 20 yards behind him.
Toss back into play. Steele ran it off the pack but ran into a brick wall. Mitchell not letting him or the ball go anywhere. We'll have another stoppage, this time another 10 metres forward for the Saints.
So ugly affair so far here at Docklands. St Kilda fighting for finals. Up it goes again. Beautiful palm from Marshall over the back to Hanbury, who read it perfectly. Kick inside 50 was a gem as well. And Membry stood tall and took the mark. He'll shoot for goal. 35 metres out, almost directly in front.
Well, that's just brilliant play by Ruckman. And well done by Hanbury. Put the ball into a central position, and we all know that Membry is a very good, strong leap. Straight up. He goes straight up. Spoil not taken, not done. Brilliantly done by those three of them, by the three lads.
So Membry, who's had Sicily's measure early this afternoon, angles on in, pulls the trigger, and he's missing to the far side. So he's second behind for the afternoon. He's letting Sicily off the hook. 2-4-16 now the Saints. Hawthorn 1-2-8.
If I was judging that, he's tapping it instead of kicking right through the ball. That's two from a very easy distance.
Both very gettable.
Yep.
Day with the kick out goes long. Sharman the spoil, slid off the side of the hands. Luckily straight to Marshall. His hand pass missed the target. Steele in over the top. Strong tackle. Ball held up. It'll be a throw up just on the edge of the centre square in between wing and half forward. For the Saints, Marshall palms it down only as far as Mitchell though, who got it to Nash. Quick kick off one step. It's okay too to find Butler. Back to Nash, who was running past, then a high kick. Doesn't do Lewis any favours. Should have been a free kick to Battle, who had his arm held. Lewis kept going, almost grabbed him. Battle broke the tackle. Hand pass to Steele, hand pass to Patton, then up to the wing with the kick. Marshall in a one-on-one, couldn't take the ball. McAvoy, hand pass to Jaff, now back to Nash. Nash, that's a better kick, lowered his eyes nicely, and he finds Dylan Moore, who will have to kick from 50 on a 45-degree angle to the right.
We should go now. There's nothing in the goal square. The Saints have just gone to sleep here.
Nash is just getting himself in a good position, finding plenty of the ball. Great vision to find that kick inside.
Absolutely.
More kicks from 49. That's off the outside of the boot. Just sneaks in for one behind. Never looked like it. 1 goal, 3-9. The Hawks, 2-4-16. The Saints after 5 minutes in the second term.
He's been a good player, Moore. He's the goal kicker. Generally gets his goals from around about 30, 35 metres out.
Sinclair goes short into the right back pocket where Patton took the mark and kicked up the line. He didn't hit a target though. Hardwick roves off the back of the pack, comes back inboard and finds Josh Ward, who marks on his chest in front of Brad Hill. Short ball is good to Morris. Still inside the centre square here, the Hawks. So Morris, he'll wind up and go deep inside 50. Pack will form. At the back was Moore who got hands to it. Hanbury roved, got it off to Steele. Handball to Crouch. Now Hill. They exit defensive 50. Owens made good space on the outer side. He marked in front of Day. He'll play on immediately by hand to Wood, who was cruising past. Kick to right half forward. Just stayed inside. Membry took the mark. He's 75 metres out from goal. Just stops and waits and assesses and analyses and goes inboard eventually to Crouch. It was a poor kick. It's picked off by Mitchell. He sends things forward where Gunston awaits at left half forward. Inside 50, the kick was a shocker. Mitch Lewis wanted it short. He went over the back, expected him to be there. And eventually he missed everything and it'll spill out of bounds for a boundary throw-in, but the Hawks have a chance from the stoppage.
Poor connection between the two forwards. Probably an indication of not having played enough football together. Both have been, Gunston in particular, in and out this year.
Or at the other end, though, Sully. I mean, that was just a giveaway.
Membry, not getting a lot better in the second quarter. 6 minutes played. Marshall won it down. Crouch has pushed off his kick. Chance here for the Hawks. Moore tried to fetch it out. He's grasped and he's going nowhere. Another stoppage inside attacking 50 here for the Hawks.
I feel sorry for key forwards in today's football because they get ignored.
Tossed up Marshall. Quick kick out of there is okay. It finds Hill to steal by hand over the top to Windhager. Windhager keeps it low. Not a bad kick either. And he's able to find Membry, who's off and running through the wing. Takes a bounce. Short kick over the top is okay. And it does find King in the end. Hardwick there to just hold him up a fair bit. Did well enough. King thought about going immediately, and then Hardwick's told to stand the mark. Right on the logo of 50, and King will think he's got the journey in him here.
Well, King wanted to go, didn't he? Hardwick did well.
I think it'll be interesting to see whether does he back himself from a 55-metre kick here, because that's what it's going to take to kick a goal. I don't think I've seen him kick a 55-metre goal.
Starts his approach almost on the boundary line. Right on the logo of 50 is where Hardwick is standing. So you're right, Mick. He'll have to kick this all of 55. He does go for it. It's high all the way to the line. Punched through just for a rush behind. Long was lurking. Couldn't get there before it trickled over. 2-5-17 the Saints. 1-3-9 the Hawks. Margin 8 points after 8 minutes in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Will Day with ball in hand. Just exits the goal square and goes with the long barrel up the middle of Docklands. It'll work out okay as well because Finn McGuinness grabbed the footy, but he was immediately claimed. It came out to Ward, who spun into the tackle, got boots a ball. Out of the congestion went McGuinness again. The Hawks are at right half forward. Foot race on now between Patton and Butler. Patton took the footy, Butler took him. I don't know how he disposed of it. Umpire said play on. St Kilda will retain possession through Windhager, who's at centre half back.
It was Patton that got caught, was it?
Yep.
So Windhager goes up the line to a one-on-one where Owens just got rid of his man in Day and took a nice mark. He gets things moving. Here's Butler, who marks up against the boundary line, 55 metres out from goal, left half forward for the Saints. He's got something short in the pocket, and it's Brad Hill, who marks 35 metres out, tight up against the boundary. This would take his best.
He's going to go around the corner. This is a long kick for around the body. It's generally 30-odd metres. This is going to go. It's going to go probably 45 metres to score. He's not a bad kick, Hill.
Nice kick.
So Hill, who of course was a Hawk once upon a time, improves the angle, kicks around his body, looks pretty good off the boot. It just slides across the face. In fact, it stayed in. Day comes up with it for the Hawks. Clears defensive 50. Clark had to stand underneath it, but the taller man over the back. In fact, it was a free kick. Kaczynski looked like he claimed the mark, but the free kick went to Butler of the Hawks. He kicked to a one-on-one. Hill involved again. He was dragged off it by Moore. He was held. And Brad Hill will get a free kick just in front of the wing broadcast sign.
Hill looking inboard. Dicey kick just got over the fingernails there of Kaczynski. Marshall, his kick turned over. It's turnover city this afternoon. Morrison chimes in to take it at centre-half back for the Hawks. No one on the mark too, so he goes straight down the middle. Looking for Kaczynski. Sharman with the spoil over the top. Got it to Marshall. Hand pass was too hot though. Sinclair had to fetch it at ground level. Perhaps a little bit of a high tackle there on Morrison. It is. Marshall, his tackle just slipping over the shoulder. Morrison goes quickly, keeps it low, top of the square. McAvoy palms it down to the advantage of Lewis. Hand pass out to Butler, who fires and misses. One behind. 1-4 now the Hawks. 2-5 the Saints. The margin is at 7 points after 10 minutes.
I don't think I've seen a game yet that, in this particular game, where players are looking at their teammate to find them and they are almost ignoring the opposition, who are a distinctly different colour. I'm not trying to be clever here, but I don't think I've ever seen them kick so often and be spoiled or intercepted.
Higgins up the line where King presents and takes a mark on centre wing. Inside 50, big fly over the back came from Butler of the Saints variety. It went over the back. Nash gathered the footy. He tried to take on the tackler of Hill. He did. He was held up. Umpire arrives on the scene and says, "I'll have it, please." He was perhaps a little lucky, Connor Nash. Up it goes. Side St Kilda's forward 50. McAvoy won it down. There's Morrison at the fall who's wrapped up. In fact, it's Moore. We'll have another ball up inside St Kilda's forward 50. 2-5-17 the Saints. Hawthorn 1-4-10. 11.5 gone. Second term.
Scrappy opening to this one. Who can break free from this stoppage? Morris is taken. Ball slapped out of his hands. And it'll be a free kick for the Saints. And this one about 40 metres out, slight angle to the right, Ross to take it.
Well, Seth Ross has dropped 5 metres in his kicking. I don't know whether he's been injured or not over the last, and I'm talking about the last year and a half. So this is no certainty from even this distance, because he just hasn't been able to kick through the ball. I don't know if it's his hamstrings or what, but this is a goal that an AFL footballer should kick.
Couple of goals for the season so far. In he comes, kicks from 40, keeps it low and misses.
There's 3 terrible misses by the Saints.
Yep.
And they're reliable. Seb Ross is generally, in his early years, was an excellent kick. So even then he had to wind that up and kick the ball 35 metres. He's certainly got some restriction in his kicking power.
Yeah, it's a good spot, Nick. 2-6-18, plays 1-4-10, 8 points the margin, 12 minutes into the second term.
And another barrel out of full back from the Hawks, this time via the boot of Blake Hardwick. Handball came out from Josh Ward at left half back. It was looking for Scrimshaw. It missed the mark. He's run over the boundary line eventually, 65 metres around from St Kilda's goal. Boundary throw-in. 2-6-18, the Saints. They lead by 8 points. Hawthorn 1-4-10. McAvoy got to the front. Ward was ripped off his kick. Handball was shot out. Ended up with Hanbury of St Kilda. Inside 50 they go. Hardwick made good position, then missed it. Sicily took it on the bounce. Higgins wrapped him up, took him to ground. It'll be a ball up 20 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Short quarter.
Yeah, I can hope.
Well, the way they're going, there won't be any goals scored, Sully.
Brad Sewell and Mick Malthouse, your experts on Grandstand AFL this afternoon. Jaff tries to break away with the footy, got it taken off him. Back into congestion. Butler of the Saints is dragged off it. Sicily now tried to get it through for a rush behind, only just did no, holding the ball.
Well, this is a certain. It's in the 10-yard square.
Sicily has had an absolute stinker.
He has.
He hasn't been here at all tonight.
Is it a free kick for what, though? Incorrect disposal, is it?
Yeah, I thought he hand passed that through cleanly enough. Crouch from the top of the square, finally. The first goal of the second term goes the way of the Saints. 3 goals, 6-24, plays 1-4-10. The margin 14 points after 14 minutes in the second term.
That's a shame. Sicily's one of the leaders for the football club, and for him to have put in this performance thus far, beginning with that dropped mark, uncontested, deep into his defensive 50, and he's been outpointed on a number of occasions. And not to discredit Memory, he's a strong contested mark, but you would expect in those situations the ball to come to ground, which hasn't happened.
Yeah, no, incorrect disposal, good decision by the umpire. A brave decision, but a very good one.
Yep.
And that's the way you tackle. Just don't give him a chance to, without banging him into the ground. Just a very good tackle.
So Brad Crouch breaks the deadlock, kicks his first of the afternoon. And the Saints open up a 14-point gap. The umpire just gets things ready. This will be in the middle of the ground, and it's a 666 violation against the Hawks. So free kick St Kilda. Rowan Marshall, 55-metre long bomb inside 50. Over the back, Morris will get there first for the Hawks. Hands it to Morrison. His kick is smothered and it's out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. Deep into attack for the Saints.
You got a free kick first up, then don't they give you a warning first up?
Yeah, it's one warning in the first quarter.
Oh, really? Yeah. Was it already? Oh, well, if you're that slow at learning, you deserve free kicks.
So from the boundary throw-in, King got to the front, took possession. Kaczynski tackled him. It spilled out to Hanbury, who's been productive in his return game. Out to Clark, round the body, inside 50. Owens met it hard. It fell to Ward. Handball to nobody in particular. Hanbury was on the scene first. Gave it to Long. Back out to Patton by hand. Little short one inside 50. Jaff defended well. St Kilda still in possession. Patton again, twists and turns. 65 metres out from goal, kicks to a dangerous position, but it's all Hawthorn. And Scrimshaw gets back and takes the defensive mark.
Scrimshaw coming out of defence, not a great kick on that occasion. Gave McGuinness no chance at all. Smashed over for a boundary thrown by Cooper Sharman. We'll have a ball in 60 from the Saints goal. So the crowd was a little restless. You could feel them getting more and more restless with every turnover this afternoon. Has been an error-riddled game so far. Toss back into play. Lynott doing the ruck work this time for the Saints. Down to Crouch, who had his kick smothered. Rebounded, luckily, to Ross. Hand pass to Clark. Left foot snap inside 50. Hardwick, decisive spoil over the top. Kills that contest out of bounds. 40 from the Saints goal.
It's a short Hunter Clark's had, but every kick is a bonus for him, or every possession. I just reckon that he's just so brave. He deserves to get through the season and have a real good go at next year.
Membry won the tap down to O'Meara, though, who shoveled it in front of Mitchell. The kick off the ground came. They gained 30 metres up the line, the Hawks. Butler met it first. He's mobbed by a pair of Saints. It's in the back. It'll be a free kick against Cooper Sharman. So Sam Butler, right in front of the commentary position on the near wing. He'll go short to Tom Mitchell, who marks in front of Long. He's got Hardwick riding shotgun if he wanted him. He cuts inside instead and will go in the Lewis direction. Big fist over the top. Patton will get there first for the Saints. Concedes some ground back to Wilkie by hand. He's got Ross, who uses Sinclair. He's in the right back pocket. Short kick is good to Lynott, who marks on the right half-back flank for the Saints. And a 50-metre penalty.
Well, that was because he moved. And I reckon that's a little bit disrespectful for what we saw about football here at the moment.
So he opts not to take the full 50 because he had Sinclair in the middle of the ground. He used him. Patton continued his run, received the handball, fired on goal from 50, and it's just knocked through for a minor score. So the Saints beginning to pepper and win the territory battle. They're 3-7-25. Hawthorn 1-4-10, 18.5 gone second term for Grandstand AFL.
One of the cleanest transitions we've seen today. Would have been nice to have finished with a goal for the Saints.
Sicily this time goes straight up the middle. Lewis will come from behind, take a strong mark as well. A long way from home at centre half back, Mitch Lewis. Then he goes an outside of the boot banana across the centre square. Bizarre decision by him. St Kilda are able to chop it off through Wood, who goes short into the middle and finds Crouch. Crouch flares it out wide to Membry, who's 60 from goal. Thought about going quickly inside 50, instead just holds it.
Getting a lot of football outside 50, Membry, and because he's not used to it, he's just a little bit hesitant to what to do with it.
A couple of steps, puts it to the top of the square. Lewis has gone back and takes almost a nice mark. Butler roving though, snapping and goaling. Good work on the left by the small forward. St Kilda with 3 in a row. And they move to 4-7-31. The Hawks 1-4-10, margin 21 points after 20 minutes in this second quarter. How about Mitch Lewis on that occasion?
He should have held that to make up for the poor barrel attempt on the far side, which caused St Kilda turnover.
Someone coming off here, is it?
Kaczynski.
Kaczynski looks like injured. Yeah. Well, he looks sore anyway.
Mick, what's your view on the barrel from fullback kicking out? Do you like that?
Only if you're a practiced kicker and only if you have demonstrated at the training that you've executed to where you want it to go. Surely, because I can say that a bloke like McIntosh at Eagles, we used to have a ruckman in the middle of the ground, just tap it over the back, you gain 40, you gain the 55 to 60 metre kick plus another 15 metres, you're out of danger area if you're prepared to do it. But it's got to be, it can't be every time because you get read to it too often. Zach Tui, one of the best exponents of that.
Back in the middle, Marshall won it down cleanly to Steele, who gave it to Hanbury. Kick around the body, Hardwick front spot at centre half back, went in after it, was almost ridden into the deck. He'll end up in Hawthorn hands. McDonald fed it out to Nash. He's got Scrimshaw in support, used him by hand, back over the top to Nash. He's on the far wing. McDonald kept on running, receives at left half forward. The Hawks will go inside 50, one-on-one battle. Unable to be taken by Bruce. Saints will come up with it. Webster did really well, received from Battle and gave it to Ross in the right back pocket. And he hit Membry on the lead, who's a long way from home. Takes the mark on his chest at left half back for the Saints.
Yeah, it's terrific by Membry coming a long way up the ground. Just that little bit of support needed out of the back line.
Takes a little bit off the kick. McAvoy forced to spoil Marshall from the side, and then Day sees it over for a boundary throw. Right in front of the interchanges below us. 4-7-31, plays 1-4-10, second term, Grandstand AFL. What a massive crowd here this afternoon. Healthy enough. Around the 30,000 mark, you would think. Palm down, Steele, hand pass is good to Ross, off one step. Hooks it around the body. Oh, good mark by Owens. Attacked that strongly in the air. 4 in the pack, and he came down with it. He pokes the pass inside 50. Sicily bravely running back with the flight. Big spoil and out for a boundary throw-in at the top of 50 for the Saints.
Well, he just missed that time. So I'm critical of the lead tonight because the colours are so identical. You know, that's why they don't know how to kick it to each other. Clearly.
Hawthorn in the traditional brown and gold, and St Kilda in the traditional red, white and black. For those listening at home, nothing funky here. As Mitchell wins it off the tap, gave it to Moore, who was tackled by Sinclair, somehow managed a handball to McGuinness. He was also wrapped up. Brad Hill, the pressure, good from the Saints. They force a stoppage, 65 metres out from goal, left half forward.
Dominated contested footy in the first quarter of the Saints, and I think they're continuing it now.
Up it goes again. McAvoy with the double palm straight down to Newcomb, who shimmies, gets onto his right boot, kicks up the line for the Hawks to a one-on-one. Getting in front was Wilkie of Gunston, and he did well to halve the contest and take it out of bounds. Right in front of our commentary position here at Docklands. St Kilda lead 4-7-31, Hawthorn 1-4-10. 23 minutes gone in this second term. A dour afternoon of footy unfolding. But an interesting contest nonetheless, as Ross is tackled by Moore. Good enough to get the hands out to Steele, who kicks to left half forward where Long awaits, takes on his chest in front of Day to a one-on-one now. Top of the square, floating in front was Membry, did everything but complete the mark. Owens had a shot on goal, it was smothered. Goalmouth scramble, top of the square, bodies everywhere. Wood tried to poke it through, couldn't quite. It came up with Owens, who kicked it backwards in the end, high up and under. Newcomb just fisted it as far as he could. Ended up with Seb Ross. Left foot snap is a beauty. And St Kilda kick their fifth. They make something out of nothing, and they're starting to skip away now. St Kilda 5-7-37. Lead Hawthorn 1-4-10. 24 minutes gone second term. 27 points the margin for Grandstand AFL.
She-wave numbers now for the Saints.
Yep.
You called it. It feels like those contested stoppages, those contested one-on-ones are going away. The Saints now across the board, and continually they're getting inside 50 entries, and fantastic finish by Ross around the corner. But again, it was Membry who almost got back to intercept that mark with the flight. Quick recovery, kept the ball in the area.
He's been impressive. Outside of it, he could have 2 goals to his name, but everything else about him, he's been fantastic. But just to see what Newcombe has had to win, Windhager. They've at each other all day. It's been a wonderful contest with 2 young players.
Morris down in the rooms too with what looks like an arm complaint too, so we'll keep an eye on him for Hawks fans from the stoppage in the middle. Hawks going nowhere. It'll be another ball up. Marshall palms it down in the direction of Crouch, pinched though by Mitchell. Socket it forward. Now Nash, he couldn't pick it up. Bounces the way of Steele. Shrugs one tackle. Got the hand pass away to Patton. Backtracking to Clark, who got the hand pass to Webster. Happy to see it out for a boundary throw in 60 from the Hawks goal, who desperately need one at the end of this second term.
Just the 6 disposals, Giant Newcombe.
Yeah, well, he's been really worked over. The young bloke Windhagen has got to learn also that when the ball's there, he's got to get it. He just turns his back on it a couple of times just to find out where his man is. And that's common with a young tagger trying to make his way.
Steele shrugged off Mitchell on that occasion. Got it to Crouch, who snapped straight out of bounds on the full. We'll have a Hawthorn free kick, 65 from goal on the boundary.
Desperate for a goal now, the Hawks. Josh Ward goes inside 50, unable to hit a target. Lewis flew at it, but it bobbles around and ends up with Hill. Chain of handballs. Gave it to Long, who went back to Hill. To the near side where Membry just controls it. He's hassled by McDonald. He did well. Worked him off the footy. It came up with Lynett though. Back to Marshall. Short balls laterally is okay to Wilkie. He gets onto his left boot. Kicks beyond a wing for the Saints. Big fist over the top from Blank. He nearly roved his own footy. Couldn't quite gain the handle, and it spills over for a boundary throw-in directly in front of the interchange benches.
Just have a giggle about Long. He just has a crack all the time. That's the sort of player the Saints need down there.
So when it comes, Marshall got rid of his man. Nobody won the contest decisively. Moore was holding on to Sinclair. As St Kilda go inside 50, big fist over the back came from Scrimshaw. Higgins almost completed the mark. Now Sicily out to Scrimshaw, and there's a whistle off the play, and this will go the way of the Hawks. It'll be a Blake Hardwick free kick for an indiscretion off the ball. Short ball is okay to Scrimshaw.
Scrimshaw to centre half back where he finds Mitchell. Mitchell out wide off a couple of steps. High kick. He finds McDonald. McDonald looking for a way forward now. Darts the ball inboard. Mark is taken by Mitchell. Back to McDonald. So these two sharing it a little bit at the moment. Then a great kick straight up the middle too. He finds Moore, who can wheel and go. Low pass inside 50 is a good one too, and Kajitsky takes the mark, but he's not convincing anyone that that right leg is okay. Took the mark, immediately started limping. He'll have to kick this almost 50 metres as well from a 45-degree angle.
Nice transition by the Hawks, clean and considered, and for the first time to see a leading forward present and clean hands. Nice to see.
I hope it's not a hamstring tightness. Because from 50, he might battle with this one, Kajitsky. In he comes. He will have the distance. He's hooked it a little bit. In fact, it almost didn't make the distance in the end. Punched through for one behind. He lips away.
Seems to be a lower leg injury. I think he's got a tape up. Has he got a tape up in the calf?
He's got something taped up there.
5-7, plays 1-5, 26 the margin after 28 minutes second term.
Well, he can hardly move. If I can just say, he can hardly move. And that's, I don't know if that's fair on the kid. Better off either taking him off just before half-time and do something with it.
I'm wondering if it's Corky's.
Well,
the way it's taped up.
Yeah. In the calf?
Yeah.
It's dangerous place to have a Corky though, surely.
Saints in possession, right half back through Ben Patton. He's going to opt to kick up the line. King at the back flew, got hands to it, couldn't bring it down. Long roved really well, handballed to himself, couldn't quite get the connection. It'll spill out of bounds as they push and shove and the crowd rise. Nothing in it, says the umpire, who'll ball it in.
Jaff and Long have been going at it a fair bit this afternoon. Good to see.
So boundary throw in. Out of side. Marshall and McAvoy go at it. Marshall over the top. Down to Steele, who was tackled. It comes out to Newcombe, who just arched the back, got away from Hill. It ends up now with Morrison via the hands of Blank. Inside 50 go the Hawks. A pair of Saints do the defensive work. Sharman got the fist in. It was roved by Butler. He didn't have any time or space, and he's hassled over the boundary line for boundary throw-in. 40 metres around from Hawthorn's goal.
37 plays 11, 26 the margin. Dying stages of this second quarter. St Kilda with the lead from the throw-in, which Lewis is wrapped up going nowhere. The ball up this time instead.
Sure, the ball hasn't been down there much, but Gunston, Kaczynski all had 2 possessions. Lewis and Bruce 3 as well.
Sinclair, hand pass to Wilkie, hand pass to Steele, caught on his left, put it into space, looking for King. Was he ushered off the ball legally? Yes, says the umpire. Day thought it, or in fact Blank thought he might have had the free kick. He goes King's way instead, and King, that's a poor kick. It was 2-on-1 with Hardwick coming one way and Higgins, the much shorter man, matched up against Will Day coming the other. Luckily, the siren beat them because Hawthorn might have been off and running. 5-7-37 the Saints at halftime. Hawthorn 1-5-11. The margin 26 points. 3 goals to nothing in that second quarter. The goal kicker was all singles for the Saints. Crouch, Ross, Hanbury, Butler and Wood with 1 apiece. And the only goal kicker for the Hawks is Jack Gunston from the first. To run you through that first hour of footy, which was scrappy for the majority of the time, but that St Kilda starting to get their stuff together later in that second term. Led it by 26, Mick Malthouse, Brad Sewell.
Well, Sully, it's 100-odd possessions to 69, I've got it here, maybe 67. It's quite a considerable gap between who had the football and who didn't have the football for 3 goals. Now, I think it was well past the halfway mark before a goal was scored. We were just talking about how it'll be a short quarter, and the Saints have kicked 3 goals in that last 8 or 9 minutes of the quarter. They look the better side, inside 50s, 28-23, which is quite remarkable. 28-23. It doesn't really illustrate 23 for 1 goal 5. So when it goes in, it's either not going in correctly or the Saints are getting the numbers back, and I've got a feeling it's both. I've been highly impressed with Wilkie throughout the year. Jimmy Webster's been good. Sinclair's been excellent. Patton's been, is it Patton? Patton's been good. So I just think that the back line has held up very well. Probably a lot of midfield ball hasn't been able to find the Hawthorn target. I think you mentioned that a couple of times. Down the other end, I don't know what it is with King. I don't know what. I wonder if he's a good bloke, because they don't kick it to him. I mean, I've only heard that he's a really good bloke, and perhaps he's too good because he just puts up with not getting kicked to. Because quite frankly, he is in position that many times, and they go around the cape to avoid him. So at some stage they'll wake up that, you know what, this kid can actually play. I like him when he does his ruck work in the forward line. He does a terrific job because he's got that height, he's got the awareness around him. All up, you'd have to suspect that the Hawks have got remarkably, they're still in the game, but I just think the way they're playing, they're going to have to, and I'm looking at the board over there and it says 68 to 74% efficiency rate, and that's, well, it's kicking now as 60 to 66, and it's Hawthorn's way, and it probably is because of the way they use the ball in the back line, but then it breaks down across the middle. So long way back, but they still can get back to Hawks, but at the moment the Saints are controlling the ball.
So the stats that support what you're saying there, Mick, are clearances 23 to 12, St Kilda, stoppage clearances 20 to 10, contested possessions 88 to 57. So Saints are getting it played in their half, but they've just got no mid-forward connection. They do have the connection, but memories missed too. He should have kicked. Yeah. Ross should have kicked the other one on the other side as well. So they've had chances they haven't made the most of.
That's right. Yeah.
Further to support you, inside 50 is 28 to 23. So Hawthorn are getting a look. They're not getting absolutely smoked in the inside 50 entries, but efficiency inside 50, 61% to St Kilda, 30% to Hawthorn. They've had 7 shots from 23 inside 50 entries. So their efficiency going forward has been horrible. Saints have been okay defensively, but transition for the most part for both sides has been really ordinary and at times difficult to watch. And for the most part, it's been basic skill errors. Handball receives going behind the player, basic fumbling errors. Pressure's been okay. Hasn't been to the height that you'd expect when looking at the forced errors.
Can I just Sully, just on the year, if we look at the Cats probably will beat the Dogs tonight. Probably, we don't know. That means the Saints go into the 8. It's almost like the case that there's 5 or 6 okay, or good sides. I'll say good sides in the 8. 8th side has been raffled between... the Gold Coast have almost fallen out of it. And certainly today, Port Adelaide just didn't do enough to kick that extra goal. So you'd suspect it's going to be Western Bulldogs, Richmond, or the Saints. I just can't see any of them. The Bulldogs perhaps, but they just lack an extra tool in the back line, can't go with the big sides, and also unless Bruce and Norton can work together, that's not going to happen either. So it's almost like it's a wasted... there was talk about having a top 10 and this sort of stuff. I just couldn't imagine anything worse than watching a final series that has 3 or 4 sides that just shouldn't be there.
They look like a team at the moment, don't they, St Kilda, that probably can't win an elimination final.
I think with Gresham out, I think that's another factor, because you can see right through here now there's no pace through the middle. It's just a matter of getting the ball and getting it forward. They don't have that line breaker. Yep. The only way they get away with it is maybe bring Sinclair in as perhaps another player. They look like they're going to proceed with a tagger through the middle because they probably recognise they haven't got enough good midfielders, and I think that's fantastic, the Saints. I don't think Kelly this is Kelly of West Coast, has never ever got under 10 possessions. In fact, he only had 4 possessions. So that's the sort of job this kid can do. He's on a very, very talented player in Newcombe. So I think that they may have found a different role now through the middle. So they've got 2 active players and 1 negating player. So that's changed the dynamics a little bit, and that may have a lot to do with Gresham not playing as well. So I don't know. The Saints on a good day can be very good. On a bad day, they're horrid. Yeah,
and it's interesting what you say about Gresham and Billings, that sort of X-factor midfielder, because the numbers tell the story this afternoon with the heavy lifters getting a lot of the ball. Brad Crouch has 20, Jack Steele 19, Dan Hanbury has 13 upon return. Even the ruckman Marshall has 16 and 20 hit-outs. So they can get the ball and bully teams, but it's what they do with it.
5-7-37, the Saints. Hawthorn 1-5-11, the margin at 26 points at half-time. More after this from the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. The Prime Minister says he's determined to see a voice to Parliament enshrined in the Constitution. Anthony Albanese's told Indigenous leaders at the Garma Festival a referendum will be put to the Australian people. Australian Federal Police say they believe there may be tens of thousands of victims of a covert spyware developed by an Australian man. The 24-year-old and his mother have been charged after the man allegedly created the software when he was just 15. Melbourne's Shrine of Remembrance has cancelled plans to light up the site in rainbow colours after what it says is a sustained abuse and threats to staff, and the first known monkeypox deaths outside of Africa have been reported in Spain and Brazil. ABC News.
Hello, Costa here. Gardening is great for the whole family, and I want to tell you something that will get the kids in your life growing. It's my brand new podcast, Gardening Buds. Everything a kid needs to know to make their own garden grow. Whether you've got a big backyard, a balcony, or a little pot on a windowsill. Join Kaylee and I for Gardening Buds. Out now on the ABC Kids Listen and ABC Listen apps.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Jaff tries to break away with the footy, got it taken off him. Back into congestion. Butler of the Saints is dragged off it. Sicily now tried to get it through for a rush behind, only just did no, holding the ball. Crouch from the top of the square, finally. The first goal of the second term goes the way of the Saints. A couple of steps, puts it to the top of the square. Lewis has gone back and takes almost a nice mark. Butler roving though, snapping and goaling. Good work on the left by the small forward, St Kilda. With 3 in a row.
Wood tried to poke it through, couldn't quite. It came up with Owens, who kicked it backwards in the end, high up and under. Newcombe just fisted it as far as he could. Ended up with Seb Ross. Left foot snap is a beauty. And St Kilda kicked their 5th. They make something out of nothing. They're starting to skip away now.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome back to the Docklands. St Kilda 5-7-37, leading Hawthorn 1-5-11. Andrew Mays, Chris Rowbottom, Mick Malthouse and Brad Sewell with you on your Saturday afternoon. Winners earlier today, Collingwood by 6 over Port Adelaide and Sydney by 73 over GWS. Plenty of sport not only happening on our shores but overseas as well, with the Commonwealth Games well and truly underway there in Birmingham. To get the latest, let's head to Ned Hall. Hello, Ned.
Hello, Maisie. Yes, and some good news to report as well. In not too long a time from now, it looks like Australia will be bagging another gold medal in the women's marathon. The wheelchair marathon, Madison de Rosario, the Olympic champion, is a couple of minutes clear of the rest of the field at the moment on what's a fairly challenging marathon course as well. A fairly nasty climb towards the end of the gruelling course has certainly caught a few of the male competitors out as they went into the closing stages there. Their race has just been completed, but Madison de Rosario is leading by over 2.5 minutes from the English racer Eden Rainbow Cooper. Christy Dawes is currently running in fourth spot at the moment, and she's about a minute and a half behind the bronze medal placeholder Shelley Oxley Woods. So not too far to go now for Madison de Rosario to add another medal to her cabinet. John Boy Smith, the English athlete, won the men's race ahead of the Scotchman Sean Frame, and Simon Lawson finishing in third place. Jake Lappin has just moved up a spot as well, the Australian. He's sitting in fifth place now, the Victorian. So creditable finish for him. Just watching Madison de Rosario crawling slowly up the big climb up towards the finish, looking over her shoulder, but no real concerns for her there. She's well clear, so she should take out the gold medal. Elsewhere, currently live, is bowling action, the lawn bowls. 3 Australian competitors are in action, or teams at least anyway, in the men's triples. Australia leading Jersey 2-1 in that match. Elsewhere, Australia beating England 5-0 at the moment, and that is in the men's pairs match as well in the para bowls competition, and also in the singles. The Australian Ellen Ryan is taking on Jordan Koss of Canada, currently trailing though in that one 6-1 at the moment. Plenty to come later on. Of course, plenty of focus will go back to the pool, where again, host of big Australian names and success stories from last night will be in action later on. Elijah Winnington, who was obviously part of that very impressive racing combo in the men's 400-metre freestyle. He goes in the 200-metre freestyle heats this evening, as does Mac Horton. Shayna Jack will be in the women's 50 freestyle later tonight, and Zach Stubblety-Cook will be hoping to build on his success in the 200-metre breaststroke. He's in the 100-metre breaststroke heats this evening. Molly O'Callaghan also racing in there, along with Kaylee McKeown tonight as well. So plenty to look forward to there in the pool. Elsewhere, the rugby sevens, the women play against Fiji a little later on this evening. The men will be taking on Kenya, and there's plenty of action as well in the velodrome this evening across a host of different events. Also, the marathons will be taking place as well after these wheelchair marathon events, with 3 Australians in a men's and women's competition. So plenty still to come from Birmingham through the course of this evening. And remember, overnight is when all the finals and the medals will be decided in the pool. That'll be around 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Back to you, Maisie.
Thanks so much, Ned. Much appreciated for that comprehensive update with so much happening in Birmingham. I can't imagine how many tabs you've got open trying to keep a track of it all over there. But for all the latest, of course, head to abc.net.au with all of the Commonwealth Games news from Birmingham. A good start for the Australians over the last couple of days, with the entire competition kicking off. Just in terms of the results today as well, in case you missed it, I mentioned it a little earlier, Collingwood, too good for Port Adelaide. The final score there at the MCG, 13-10-88. Port Adelaide, 12-10-82. They've now, Collingwood, had the most ever wins under 12 points in a season in AFL VFL history. So they keep getting it done in the close ones. Not so close at the SCG this afternoon. Sydney, 17-10, 112 to GWS, 5-9-39. What that does for the latter two puts Sydney into a top 4 position as it stands, displacing Brisbane after a big percentage boost there. So they've actually gone ahead of the Lions on percentage. So the top 8 as it stands at the moment: Geelong, Melbourne, Collingwood, Sydney, Brisbane, Fremantle, Carlton and the Western Bulldogs. St Kilda will temporarily go inside the 8 with a win this afternoon. Richmond in 10th, a couple of points behind St Kilda and the Dogs. And Port Adelaide and Gold Coast, you'd say, just about gone now after today's results. The Gold Coast perhaps still with a glimmer of hope. They've got West Coast tomorrow and just need to keep winning on the way in to the finals. Halftime here, though, under the roof, St Kilda 5-7-37, leading Hawthorn 1-5-11. Plenty on the line for the Saints, as we did mention off the top. If they win, they go into the 8, albeit temporarily, if the Dogs are to upset the Cats a little later on this afternoon. And the subs, too, haven't had an impact yet. Owens came in as a late change for the Saints. Tom Campbell came out of the selected 22, and so he was omitted very late. And then no sub. Jecker, the sub for the Hawks, he hasn't gone onto the field yet, and neither has Burns for the Saints. So a couple of injury concerns for the key forwards, but both were able to play out that quarter, albeit not that convincingly, Chris Rowbottom, especially the way we saw Jacob Kajitsky moving as he took that shot at goal late in that quarter. So hopefully he can come back and get some treatment at halftime and be okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do eventually make a move with either Kazitsky or Lewis, who came off with that leg complaint in the first term, because they do have Jecker as the sub, who does play as a key forward. In fact, he's actually been playing as a key back at Box Hill in the last month or so and been fairly impressive. But there is that flexibility there. It's been a dour affair so far, hasn't it? And Hawthorn, over the last 6 weeks or so, have begun to play a really exciting run and gun, high octane brand of footy. We haven't quite seen that today. Players like Jaff attempting to get things going, trying to get the handball off half back, cut inside, the torpedo out of full back, things like that. They have tried a few things, but I think St Kilda have actually been okay in being able to blanket a lot of what Hawthorn have been able to do. They've kicked 5-7 themselves. They've had some opportunities. They haven't been pretty, the Saints, but I think they're doing enough at this stage.
So Bradshaw, knowing Sam Mitchell really well and having played with him for so long, what's his mindset at halftime with these Hawks players to try and open this game up a bit? Is he going to get on the front foot and see as much run and gun from half back, from in the middle, and an attacking play to try and open up that forward line?
I think so. They need to take some risks, try and get the ball out into open play. Handball receives from behind. Get the likes of CJ involved off half back, for example. But a lot of their Newcomb's been taken out of the game completely, and he has been a good starter for them out of the middle with his clearances and contested ball. He hasn't had an impact. He's been sat on quite well. I'd imagine from Hawthorn's perspective, they've got nothing to lose. Go out there, take some risks, take it on. Try and find that open space, get plenty of switch, and they've been anticipating St Kilda's switch pretty well for the most part. There's been a lot of turnovers, and they've been sweating on their ball on the inside, and done that quite well. So, looked like Kaczynski was on a bike at half time, so looked like a corky, who really knows. It kind of helps. They've also got another key position of player to swap over, you'd imagine.
And Mick, it's a funny one too with the Saints. If you hadn't looked at the scores and you'd offered them a 26-point lead at half time, they probably would have taken it before the bounce.
There's absolute certainty in that.
Just the way that it's been played.
Well, they would on the basis that in the last 2 weeks, 15 and 19 goals have been scored by Hawthorn against North Melbourne and West Coast. So it's the two bottom sides. It's how they did it and how you go. But you still got to kick goals. It doesn't matter which side you're playing, you've got to kick them. And they were able to kick them frequently. Right now, to even equal the average, they've got to kick 14 more goals. And they'll slaughter St Kilda if they do kick 14 goals. But Sully's right. There's a young tagger in the middle who's done a job. Mitchell hasn't really got the ball in a better position. And I've got to say also the Saints mids they're not quick, but they're just winning the contested footy. And if you win that and you've got a couple of players, so the Saints again, they're not quick on the wings. Seb Ross and Wood, they're hardly going to run out of a sight in a dark night. I mean, they both run through treacle. So, they defy what the old wings used to be, which is that hard running players. But they've won enough of the football, and I think Marshall has been exceptional. And I think what this is telling me, Sully, and I hate to say this, and again I've written about it tomorrow, is I think Big Boy McAvoy, Ben McAvoy, has been an outstanding player, but Reeves is the future. And with a crook neck, get back on your farm and just enjoy your life, because you've just given so much to football. He has. He has given so much to football. I'd hate to see him cop another knock to that neck and be, you've got to wear that for the rest of your life, unfortunately. You only got the one neck and
he needs to look after that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's had enough. And I think right now, Marshall's just dominating.
Just some news before we get back underway for the second half. Josh Morris has been subbed off by the Hawks. We've just spotted him pacing the boundary line with his right arm in a sling. The precise diagnosis we're still waiting on, but Emerson Jecker will be injected into the game for the Hawks, which is a shame because he'd come in the last few weeks or so, Josh Morris, and just putting together a good run of footy.
Looks like Jecker's gone straight to the back line as well. So he's going to line up and start from fullback. 98 centimetres, 96 kilos. So he's got a bit to work with in terms of his frame and athleticism, and Hawthorn will need every bit of it in this second half as we enter it. And they're trailing by 26 points. The third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Steele tries to hack it forward, only as far as Water. The Hawks back to Jath, who releases Hardwick by hand. Hawks go forward via McGuinness, who flares it out wide by hand to Moore. Short kick up the line, can't find a target. Wilkie does the defending, spoils over the line for a boundary throw-in in front of the interchange benches.
Short to a 50-50 would have been nice just seeing that taken ground, kick it long into space.
So when it comes back over the umpire's head, Marshall gets to the front, palms it down into the path of O'Meara. Steele got there first, though. Two Hawks claim him. O'Meara was one, Mitchell the other. They ride him into the ground. It'll be a stoppage directly in front of our commentary position here at Docklands. St Kilda 5-7-37, Hawthorn 1-5-11.
Mitchell pinned his arm, and Seb Ross wasn't happy about that at all as he went to ground. Pulled him off the top of Steele. Now there's a free kick in the ruck contest. This is going the way of McAvoy against Marshall this time. So McAvoy to take it from just behind the wing. And he's got to get back behind his mark. A couple of metres. Umpire marching him across towards the boundary line. Sicily at half-back calling for it. That's where he heads. Short. Sicily thought about pulling the trigger into the middle. Just stopped on his kick. Has Jeff back inside defensive 50. That's where he will go. Not really looking to switch at this stage, although then he hits the accelerator, Jath, and we know it's a good one too with plenty of pace. Kick is okay to Blank. Off to Jecker for his first possession. Keeps it low. Got over the head of Moore in the end. Sharman able to nudge him underneath it. Hand pass to Hanbury. Hanbury over the top. King slipped. Didn't get his handball away. Ball spilt free. Newcomb swoops on it for the Hawks. His hand pass, poor one. Missed the target completely. Ross a hand pass over the top to King, who'd got back onto his feet. And now to Ross. Ross kicks a tumbling ball inside 50. Diving on top of it was Owens. He received or got the ball, got it to Membry, who fires on goal off the step. Maybe that's how you do it. No preparation, all instinct, and straight through the middle. 6-7-43 the Saints. Hawthorn 1-5-11. We played a couple of minutes in this third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Funny how it works, Mick, when you've got no time to think.
Well, that's a remarkable goal, because not only did he kick it around the body, he would have got probably 45 to the piece of it. Yeah. And that's a decent kick around the body. If you can, yeah, he has. He's got that he's actually got that from nearly the 50-metre line and gone. Yeah, he's gone 50 metres. So that's a remarkable kick. The Saints have just outnumbered him again. Saints haven't been known through the year, I don't think, in outnumbering their opposition. They've relied on Steele to do 1-on-2 and Marshall the same, and perhaps King. But right now, Saints are outnumbering and deserve their lead.
It's out to 32 points. The bounce will be recalled. It was off kilter. Go again.
This ruck work will be interesting to see how they go, because when the ball's even, straight up between them, see who wins the tap.
Up it goes. Marshall won it down. McGuinness was maybe taken high. Shrugged the tackle though. Will send the Hawks inside 50. Getting out in front with Sharman. Couldn't take the mark. Newcomb at the fall. Clever handball over the top in the McDonald direction. Couldn't quite hit him. Sinclair will get there first for the Saints. Shares it with Patton by hand. Back they go. Patton receives again and kicks directly up the line. Somehow Marshall took the mark. Stribshaw got in front. Looked like he had a piece of it, but it fell in his lap. He accepts dutifully and kicks into the middle of the ground where Steele awaits. Marks on his chest. And he goes out wide, and two Saints almost collided like... Well, it was friendly fire, and there was very lucky that there was not a serious injury out of that. They'll come up with it anyway. Sinclair received it on the bounce from Marshall. Hanbury went low. Newcomb came up with it for the Hawks. Handball into the middle of the ground where O'Meara had to wait. He was tackled as he gathered the footy by Patton. It came out to Marshall inside 50. Now go the Saints. Bouncing ball. Sicily over the back. It came to Owens. Dribbling on goal. Butler was running it in. He wasn't needed. Owens, the late in, kicks the goal. He rolls it home. And St Kilda well and truly on top now at Docklands. 7-7-49 the Saints. Hawthorn just the one major. 1-5-11 early stages of this third term for Grandstand AFL.
Great for the Saints. They look dangerous each time they've gone forward. They've had appeared to be one-on-one contests, and we know around the ground they've been pretty comfortable in winning those, and they just keep pushing the ball forward. And again on this occasion, they had a couple of players fall to the ball.
Yeah. Mitch Owens, he's not quite 19, I don't think, so he's got the build on him at, what is he, he's listed as 191.85 down at Sandringham under 18s. He has got a real potential, this kid. He moves well, he knows where the ball's going to go, he's already well built, so well done.
Marshall from the middle, won it down only as far as Mitchell though. Hand pass to McGuinness. Fires Hawthorn inside 50. Out to space more than anything else. Kajitsky trailing a couple. Sinclair was smooth and clean. Paused on his kick. And it's a good one too. Flares it out wide to Battle, who wants to go quickly. He does. Hanbury's the target. McAvoy over the top. Decisive fist. And out for a boundary throw. And in between wing and half forward for Hawthorn. They're trailing this one by 38 points. Alarm bells going off at the moment in the Hawthorn box.
Sinclair or Wilkie for the All-Australians, Julie?
Sinclair.
It's been impressive, hasn't it?
McAvoy palmed it down to Mitchell, who fed it out the back to Morrison. He kicks Hawthorn inside 50. Wilkie best position, couldn't take the mark. Patton off hands, feeds it back to Webster. Floating ball out wide. He's good enough for Hanbury. Gets things going immediately. Off the back foot, he was wanting a teammate up the line in Marshall, but McAvoy got across and spiked it out of bounds. Looks like Finn McGuinness has moved on to Jack Steele to begin this second half.
Just trying to find the tag, see if it's still happening. Windhager, I think he is.
Thrown back in, Giath wrestled out of it, and it's caught under the pack again. Another ball up, just backward of centre wing. Marshall gets to his feet. He goes straight at McAvoy. Should be a free kick, and it is. It's an odd decision by the ruck. I reckon he almost got lost in the contest and then just went no eyes for the ball straight at McAvoy. Easy free kick to give away there for the umpire. McAvoy receives it on centre wing. All but four players in front of him. He goes backwards to one of those inside the centre square. That's Hardwick. Hardwick short to Morrison. Josh Morris subbed at half-time. Jecker on for the Hawks. Morrison runs his full measure, then a high kick inside 50. Line it from 3 deep. Decisive fist. Marshall tried to claim the mark. Umpire disagreed. McDonald ripped it out of his hands. Ball spilt free. Newcomb taps it to the advantage of Nash. He's taken immediately. Some sort of hand pass out of there. Higgins to Patton of St Kilda. Over the top to Webster. And Webster by foot. Jath in prime position. Knocked away from him. O'Meara there to row for the Hawks. Kicks a helicopter ball back inside defensive 50. Oh, McAvoy came late. Conceded the free kick. And Battle will receive it in the back pocket for the Saints.
Agricultural from Ben McAvoy.
Not quite as clean as his first two spoils in his third term.
As Battle kicks beyond defensive 50 to the near side for the Saints. It was very well roved by Long for St Kilda, who just torps it as far as he can, and it comes off because Butler was underneath it. He's at right half forward, waits underneath it and marks on his chest, puts it out in front of Hill. Jath, close checking, sees it over the boundary line in the right forward pocket for St Kilda, who've kicked the first 2 goals of this third term and lead 7-7-49 to Hawthorn, 1-5-11.
How good was that for running power? Jath and Hill going at it from the wing all the way to the forward pocket.
I mind seeing them in a bit of open field. Free kick here out of the ruck contest. It'll go Hawthorn's way. Finn McGuinness.
Yeah, he was blocked off the ball. It's silly in many respects. Young player, just trying to do his job in Windhagen.
So McGuinness puts plenty of air on it. Outside 50. It falls off hands to Marshall, who gave it to Crouch. Back now to Sinclair. Short ball is good to Hanbury. 60 out from goal. Short. Spearing ball in onto the chest of King. And that's how he likes it delivered. Low and hard. Max King will kick for goal from just inside 50, slight angle.
Sinclair and Hanbury, both good ball users, both good decision makers for the Saints around the 50-metre arc.
Yeah.
Sees King having a shot on goal.
And Max King, 42 goals for the season, just the two behinds this afternoon.
He's got no speed on his run-up.
Just inside 50, leans back on the kick, liked it the whole way there, pumps the fist, and it sails through. St Kilda have 8, and they are putting the foot down on the Hawks. They have the first 3 of the second half. 8-7-55 the Saints. Hawthorn 1-5-11, 10 minutes gone, third term.
Yeah, good kick. Still no speed on the entrance, which is a worry, but the connection was good. So really pleased for him too, because he works that hard. There was an element that said during the year, oh, he looks like he sulks and this sort of stuff. No, he doesn't. He's a big boy that he does have rounded shoulders. He doesn't always carry himself upright, but he is true to his teammates. He's always presenting. Rarely complains about he doesn't complain about a bad kick, but they found him. It was a good mark and an excellent kick and good reward.
Back in the middle, St Kilda marching towards a big percentage boost here. Very timely come this time of year. Now Marshall with the clearance. Kick high, but marked by Nash on the point of the centre square.
He's found a bit of it today, Nash, hasn't he?
Yeah. Been playing that bigger body in the midfield for a little while now for the Hawks. Long kick to half forward. McAvoy won it down. This time to Bruce. Bruce by hand to Moore inside 50. Butler, no favours whatsoever. Put it over his head. Easy enough for Sharman to take the mark. Flares it into the back pocket. And Lynott takes it.
Yeah, it wasn't a great kick, was it? To the smaller target. Wasn't to his advantage at all. So Lynott now for St Kilda. Kicks up the line, broadcast side. Blank from the back. In fact, it was Jekka, the super sub. Well, he has made the move to defence at VFL level. Now he runs himself into all sorts of trouble. Fires off the handball, shares it with his former Box Hill teammate in Blank, who gives it to Hardwick. Inside 50 now go the Hawks. Big fist over the top. It bounces towards the boundary line. They'll keep it in here, the Saints. Handball over the top now. Received by Butler. Cuts one way, then the other. Inside he goes. Put Owens under the pump, but he was good enough to feed out a handball, and they're out here, the Saints. Butler shares it with a teammate. Put Patton under the pump. He had to go and help out. In fact, it was Clark. Hawks come up with it. Inside ball was a beauty to Newcomb. Not sure he was the intended target, but he accepts gratefully. Played on immediately to McGuinness. Handball to McDonald. Little ball inside 50. Finds Butler. And what a strange passage of play that was.
Crouch just didn't go near the ball. Ran past it, didn't he? Am I imagining things like there were so many things happening all at once? I don't know what happened.
It's like one of those illusions where it looked like it went through him, and it ended up with Newcomb. And the Hawks got out the other side, and it'll result in a Sam Butler shot on goal. He kicked from just inside 50, 45 metres out. No real angle to speak of. The Hawks are in desperate need of a major. He leans back on the kick. He only just got the distance, but he did get the distance. Umpire signals a goal. Hawthorn finally have their second. St Kilda 8-7-55. Hawthorn 2-5-17. Halfway through the third term for Grandstand AFL.
Yep, odd passage of play. The Hawks are lucky to end up with what turned out to be an uncontested mark in their forward 50. A couple of fortuitous kicks found their marks. Again, some poor handballing, skill errors, but somehow, Maisie, you're laughing sitting in front of me. I don't know how to describe it. I'm going around in circles here.
It was like if you kicked the ball through four lifts
trying to call
it closing at the same time. and you nailed it.
There you go.
It was very strange. As Rowie said, it was as close to an illusion as you could get. Back in the middle. Hawthorn with a much-needed goal. Their first goal since the 20-minute mark of the opening term. Nash having a run in the ruck this time. Didn't win it down. Crouch poked the kick out. Only as far as McDonald, though. Especially said his left foot pass off a step was lovely going inside 50. His kick this time finds Moore, who slipped. Hand pass back to Mitchell. Left half forward. Hand pass to Ward off his opposite boot, which is a good kick into the middle. Morrison takes a little bit off it. And good mark out the back by Scrimshaw. Should kick this goal and does. 2 in a row for the Hawks in quick succession. Margin back to 32. 3-5-23. Plays 8-7-55. We've played just over 15 minutes in this third term on Grandstand AFL.
If I've got one, and I know I've harped on this virtually, if anyone's been listening from round one to right up now, we're into with 4 games or 3 games to go, the Saints never or rarely cover the corridor in defence. And what by that I'm talking about having a filter of players through there so the opposition can't use it. Hawthorn have been stiff a few times. They've used it time and time again, but their last kick has been ordinary. This time they find a very, very easy kick through the middle. The Saints are sitting back. 3 or 4 of their players are sitting back wondering what's going to happen and waiting for the turnover. The others are all pushed forward, so they leave the corridor totally open. Hawthorn used it, found Scrimshaw and a kick. Easy goal.
Back to 32 points. Into the middle we go. Nash does the ruck work for the Hawks and did okay to win a handball, but it only went as far as Hanbury, who had Crouch at the front of the stoppage. He rode the tackle and gave it to Long. Rides the Ward tackle, kicks long and deep inside 50 for the Saints. And getting back, taking the mark was Higgins. In the left forward pocket. Tight angle, but just 15 metres out from goal. He generally eats these for breakfast, Jack Higgins.
Well played by Long too.
Improves the angle, does Higgins. Kicks around the corner and he likes it. So St Kilda hit back immediately and got a 9-7-61. Still leading Hawthorn. 3-5-23. 38 points the margin. 16 and a half gone. Third term. It's raining goals at Docklands all of a sudden.
It is. Long found himself in a bit of space. Put the ball over the back going forward. Looks like Mitch is starting to swing the magnets for Hawthorn. Scrimshaw's gone forward. Newcomb had also gone forward. Nash in the ruck.
Why not?
Well, exactly.
Try it out.
Yep.
Try it out. You just might find one little spark.
Scrimshaw went forward and kicked that goal.
That's right.
Mick Malthouse and Brad Sewell, your experts on Grandstand AFL this afternoon. Andrew Mays and Chris Rowbottom calling the action for you. Collingwood by 6 earlier today. Sydney by 73. Currently it's St Kilda by 38 points over the Hawks. From the ball up, Mitchell slid in low and hard. Couldn't quite dish out the hand pass. Eventually it popped out and then popped straight back in. Steele tried to get to his feet with a couple for company. Held to him. Another stoppage inside the centre square. Tossed up. Nash palmed it down, looking for Moore. Didn't find him in the end. Now Morrison off the back point of the centre square. Hand pass almost got over the head of McDonald, who was able to reel it in, then kick to Gunston almost at centre half forward. No mark taken. At ground level, fighting hard and low there was Bruce. Was it too high? Yes.
Have hardly used his name all day.
Yeah.
Crazy. So it's whoever's playing on him. I think they're 1-on-1 down there, so I think it's a pretty good job.
Bruced inside 50. Poor kick. He was looking for his old mate Gunston out the back. Couldn't find him. Lacked penetration. Ross takes the mark. Kicks to centre half back where Long has it.
Long spreads it wide to Hanbury, who marks it right half back, broadcast side. He spears a kick to Higgins, who gets it and goes. Middle of Docklands now. Kick was partially smothered. Sicily over the back of Owens. He did enough to force the contest. Day roved it well. Finds Jecker inside defensive 50. And they're out the other side now, the Hawks. McGuinness gathers a bouncing ball and kicks further up the line into the chest of Bruce, but it was out on the full. He was riding his luck, and his luck ran out. St Kilda free kick at the left half back.
Steele inboard to line it. It has Webster short, ignores him.
It's not the best kick.
Line it. absolutely called that before it happened, Mick.
Well, his decision-making is quite poor.
That was a poor kick indeed to McDonald. Not a great kick coming back the other way. Spoiled by Lynott, who works the 1-2, and then a hand pass further afield to Steele. They've worked this to half-forward. Hand pass to Wood. Money kick inside 50. No good on that occasion. Although Owens kept it in. He ran the boundary line, almost slammed into the behind post as he was tackled. Hawthorn happy to see it out. Just.
There's the difference between really good sides and sides that just don't get it. You know, that was a good delivery in there. You're having a shot on goal. That's why you kick your 15, 16 a game, not 8 or 9.
Boundary throw in. 5 metres around from the left-hand behind post. St Kilda's attacking zone. G. Nash might have had Max King over the shoulder in the contest, and he did. So Max King will get the free kick and kick for goal. 30 metres out. No real angle to speak of. For his second of the afternoon.
Come on. Sully, watch his style. See the
slow, isn't it?
Well,
almost disjointed.
Looks at the goals for a long time before he looks at the ball.
So King, when he comes, slow, deliberate approach, leans back on the kick, and Mick Malthouse has picked it like a dirty nose. He sprays it across the face for a minor score.
You got the lotto numbers as well tonight, Mick. You're on fire the last couple of minutes. All risky kick in from the Hawks. Ross intercepted. King works it back to Ross, off to Higgins. He's tackled, dispossessed. Hawthorn trying to get numbers to this contest. Clark pokes a ball forward. It's a throw. It's going to be a Hawthorn free kick to Nash. Nash looking out wide, called to play on. He goes short, dicey again. Oh, Mark just taken long. Was late, got the intercept, but enough of it, as deemed by the umpire, was in the hands of Morrison. So he has it at right half-back. Goes fairly centrally, opting not to mark, but just whack it forwards. Kajitsky, numbers though with the Saints. Hand pass comes to Crouch, to Hanbury. He kicks off one step. It's a high ball, travelled 20 metres, further almost in the air. Now a chance for the Hawks at ground level. McGuinness, although bursting through was Membry. Hand pass to Crouch. Crouch kicks inside 50. Higgins out the back. Is that in the back? Yes. And he'll get the free kick, Jack Higgins. And gives it to Sicily, who gives it right back to him with a fistful of Higgins jumper. A few words exchanged between those two. Sicily can't believe it. And Higgins will line up from 40 out, 45-degree angle to the right.
Yeah, left foot, is he? This is interesting. I know he can kick left foot, but I don't know if he's that good.
Yeah, they'll have to get all of this as well. This will have to travel 40 metres plus. He does go on his left. It's got some bend on it, but not enough. He made the distance.
So he's lost his confidence in kicking the balls from a drop punt. That's a drop punt every day of the week.
Yep. 63 plays 23, 40 points the margin after 22 minutes, third quarter.
Hardwick with the kick in duties finds Moore, who pierces the middle of the ground. It was a dicey kick, but good enough to find Josh Ward, who takes the mark. Gunston got up, couldn't quite take the mark at left half forward for the Hawks. It was roved beautifully by O'Meara, who steadied and had Newcomb running inside 50, who takes the mark.
Bit of speed on the ball there for the Hawks, which I haven't seen much of today. They were quick to keep the ball moving forward.
John Newcomb well held this afternoon, but has a chance to kick a goal for his team. He's 40 metres out, and he too is looking to line up and go around the body from the angle. He perfects it. Wonderful bending ball from Jai Newcomb, and he kicks his first for the afternoon. Hawthorn have 4. St Kilda 9-9-63. Hawthorn 4-5-29. 23 minutes gone. Third term, grandstand AFL.
Important for young midfielders getting set on to be able to go forward and have an impact. And he's hitting the scoreboard, so certainly shown he can do that.
Good size too, Sully. 186. Okay, he's just over 6 foot, but the 89 kilos, he's probably heavier than that now. This would have been done pre-season. Interesting enough, I always used to say to young players, if you've got a big job, like say Djakovic on Carey, okay, you got him for the rest of your life. It's the same with Windhagen. He's likely to play on a Newcomb type every day, so every week. So therefore, you've got to get used to it. And when they change position, do you go back with him? I'm not too sure what the coach has said there, but he's got another target then if Newcomb's not in there.
Now Sinclair's gone to Newcomb now.
Mitch Lewis off to Jensen out for the game as well, having his knee on ice downstairs. So we're going to play one down here, the Hawks, for the rest of the game. A chance from half-back for steal of the Saints. Goes over the head of Wood, who reached high. Sicily spoils from over the top. Gets out the back, then it's one-on-one at ground level. Wood rode the tackle well, and then Sicily was able to ride him into the ground. And pass backwards finds Morrison, who goes short to McGuinness.
Oh, that's 50 every day of the week.
Long,
change that rule.
Creeping a little forward there. McGuinness short to Ward at centre half-back.
Ward will go up the middle of the ground, kick to a 2-on-2. Fly over the back. Might have been Webster. Didn't quite bring it down. Over the back it goes into a contest. It's all wrapped up as Marshall lays the tackle. We'll have a ball up right on the top of the 50-metre arc. Hawthorn attacking zone. Marshall took it out of the ruck. He was immediately claimed by McAvoy. Umpire arrives and says, "I'll have it, please." Another stoppage. 9:63 are the Saints. 4:5:29 the Hawks. Marshall lurks as Windhager takes it out of the ruck for another stoppage. It goes up again. One down by McAvoy. Little kick out of the congestion. Found Ross, who slapped it on the boot, but only as far as Hardwick for the Hawks.
Great mark by Hardwick in the one-on-one. Gets it to the wing for McDonald. Pokes it inboard to the edge of the centre square where Morrison has it. Back to Hardwick by hand. Off one step. Deep entrance this time inside 50. Flies it there. Kaczynski couldn't come down with it. Chance now for Patton. Gets it away to Sinclair off the outside of the boot. Lovely ball there. And he's able to find Ross, who pokes it short to Hanbury at half-back.
Hanbury left foot ball is a shocker. He picks out Connor McDonald just back of the wing. He was trying to drive the footy, get something going for his Saints, but nothing doing. Hawthorn have it now. Sicily receives, who kicks to Mitchell inside the centre square. He comes wide to McGuinness, who marks in his chest on the near wing. In front of Crouch. Short ball now over the top. Back to O'Meara. Little kick inboard now to Ward.
There's that corridor open up again.
Left foot ball from Ward. Kicks to a contest. It was a paw inside 50. And the mark is gobbled up by Wilkie.
McAvoy filthy as well. Having a piece of his mind from further down the field, wanting the ball a little bit deeper than that. Ball goes to Marshall, and then he switches play across the left half-back where Hanbury has it, off and running, which is good to see. He was looking for Steele over his head. Higgins to help. Got it back to Steele by hand. Now inboard by hand to Membry, who kicks a low ball. King from behind. Didn't take the mark. Sicily dropped it. King roved it. Hand pass out wide to Higgins. Now to Hill. Hill with the banana. Went about 4.5 metres and then tapped through for a rush behind by Ward on the line. Did not kick through that at all.
Hill was trying to do with that.
No. Caught in the middle. 9-10 rather, 64. Plays 4-5-29. 26 played third term.
Hardwick played on, change of direction. He kicked a spearing ball to Newcomb, who had to take it on the second bite. He was good enough to do so before going wide to Mitchell, who pops it over the top to Moore. He goes further afield now to Bruce, who plays on by hand to Moore, who kept running. He burns off Sinclair. Kick inside 50 is a gem, and he finds McAvoy, who marks with outstretched arms, 55 metres out from goal.
Players are getting tired now, so the skill level, there's more space. Players in now are starting to use the ball better. Influenced by the goals, I think we've got a dozen goals kicking here.
So McAvoy kicks from right on the paint of 50, striped it pretty well all the way to the line, but it's knocked over for a minor score.
The more structure in the way Hawthorn are moving the ball forward.
Yeah.
And as a result, they're getting a look on goal.
Webster receives it from the kick out. Long with his ball too to Long, which is a nice result. He goes to the run of Membry. Hand pass inside 50 to Hill. It was at his feet. Had to go back to Membry by hand. Just checks the kick. It's not going to favour Higgins. Smashed away by Day. It actually stays in the forward pocket. Hill feeds it back to Membry. Kick one here from earlier in the quarter. This one to the top of the square. Butler trying to get a run at it. Jat! Up in the pack. Very strong hands. Takes the mark.
And again, just ignored King. King was in a perfect position to lead on the football. No, kick it over his head. He's going to have a wry neck by the end of the night. Watch it just bounce over the back of his head all the time.
Jath goes for a gallop. He's in the left back pocket, kicks beyond defensive 50 for the Hawks. McAvoy got to the front. Wilkie provided the spoil, beautifully roved by Moore, who went with the underground handball to Gunston, tried to get it back to Moore. He eventually did over the shoulder. Might have been a throw for Moore. Umpire said play on, tried to get it to O'Meara. They've broken it up here, the Saints. I think it was Winhager. No, it was Moore who came in low, a little enthusiastically, and gave away the free kick. And go to Patton, right in front of the commentary position. So he kicks to right half forward. Marshall got rid of his man, couldn't take the mark. Offhand Sicily, shared it with Mitchell, who gave it to Day. High up and under towards centre half forward in the Kaczynski direction. Foot race now that Webster will lead from Bruce, but he catches him. Did it well enough to gather the footy and get a handball off to Hanbury. Fed it off back to Wilkie, who went back to Webster, who kept on running. Long ball up the outer wing now. Day gets in front of Hill and knocks it over for a boundary throw-in at the left half forward for the Saints.
So St Kilda fans will be sitting pretty comfortably at the moment. A 34-point advantage, closing in on 30 minutes gone in this third term on Grandstand AFL. Toss back into play. Half forward here for the Saints. Ross with the clearance. Hand passes to Hanbury. And then out to Higgins, who wasn't really looking at the footy as he's trying to get the right body position against the bigger Jecker on that occasion. And spoiled out for a boundary throw-in. Siren beats everyone. And that's the end of the third term. 9-10-64 St Kilda. Hawthorn 4-6-30. 4 goals to 3 in that term in favour of the Saints. They led by 26 at half-time and 34 at three-quarter time. The goal kickers will start with the Saints, 1 each to King, Membry, Higgins, Ross, Butler, Crouch, Hanbury, Owens and Wood. For the Hawks, 1 to Butler, Gunston, Newcomb and Scrimshaw. So a 34-point advantage at three-quarter time. Early today, Collingwood by 6, Sydney by 73. You're listening to Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Know the story with ABC News Digital. Get the latest breaking news with live notifications whenever you want, wherever you are.
They are considering going to zero emissions.
We'll go ahead as planned.
And abruptly ended the case.
It will help us all get back to normal and back to all the things that we love.
Those are the kind of things that work.
There's hope for a brighter future.
ABC News, Australia's most trusted news source. Head to news.abc.net.au or download the ABC News app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Diving on top of it was Owens. He got the ball, got it to Membry, who fires on goal off the step. Maybe that's how you do it. No preparation, all instincts. And straight through the middle.
Bouncing ball, Sicily over the back. It came to Owens, dribbling on goal. Butler was running it in. He wasn't needed. Owens, the late in, kicks the goal. He rolls it home. And St Kilda well and truly on top now at Docklands. Played on immediately to McGuinness. Handball to McDonald. Little ball inside 50. Finds Butler. The Hawks are in desperate need of a major. He leans back on the kick. He only just got the distance, but he did get the distance. Hawthorn finally have their second.
Morrison takes a little bit off it, and good mark out the back by Scrimshaw. Should kick this goal, and does. 2 in a row for the Hawks. Margin back to 32.
Hanbury, who had Crouch at the front of the stoppage, he rode the tackle and gave it to Long. Rides the Ward tackle, kicks long and deep inside 50 for the Saints. And getting back, taking the mark was Higgins. Proves the angle as Higgins kicks around the corner and he likes it. So St Kilda hit back immediately.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
St Kilda by 34 points at three-quarter time over the Hawks. 9-10-64 leads Hawthorn 4-6-30. Andrew Mays, Chris Rowbottom, Mick Maltas and Brad Sewell with you after this game. Huge game down at the Cattery, especially for the Bulldogs' finals chances. Down there at Kardinia Park is Joel Peterson. Joel, good afternoon.
G'day, Maisie. The Cats tonight are putting the Cell in celebration. They're celebrating the career of their captain, Joel Selwood. He plays game 350, the first Cat to reach the milestone, and he adds to an already glittering resume. He plays his 300th game with Premiership teammate Tom Hawkins. They'll become the third pair to reach 300 in tandem. And with a win, Selwood will become the winning most captain of all time, overtaking Essendon legend Dick Reynolds. If that wasn't incentive enough, Geelong are equal Premiership favourites. They enter tonight with a 9-game winning streak. They sit atop the table and are looking to push their Premiership credentials. Their opponents in the Dogs rolled the reigning premiers Melbourne in a high-scoring affair last week. They've suddenly hit form at the right time, as you say, Maisie. They're pushing for a finals berth. However, they haven't won here since 2003. Last year, when they ventured down the highway, it was a Gary Rowan kick after the siren that sunk their winning chances. There are no late changes. Lockie McNeil's the sub for the Dogs. Brandon Parfitt is the sub for a Geelong side, hoping tonight is one to remember. Maisie.
Thanks, Joel. Massive game down there at Cardinia Park that most people will be heading to. If you are listening, though, in South Australia, you'll get coverage of Adelaide and Carlton, which is also available on the AFL app. No late changes there for the Crows and the Blues. The subs, Ben Davis for Adelaide and Jack Silvani for Carlton. Meanwhile, here, though, under the roof, 9-10-64 the Saints, 4-6-30 the Hawks, 34 points the margin at the final change. Sully and Mick Malthouse, what do you think both coaches are looking for in this final term?
Well, from what we heard, it's going to be chocolates down at Cardinia Park. We've got boiled lollies here. In this third term, I mean, Hawthorn showed a bit. Their ball movement going forward, their transition, their mid-forward connection was much smoother. They started to win a few contested balls. Mitch swung the magnets. We saw Nash go into the ruck, Newcomb go forward. Among others. Lewis is out with what appears to be some sort of a cork or a knock. Kaczynski's on one leg. He's quite lame as well. For the Saints, they need to finish strongly here, Mick. They need to finish strongly for a whole raft of reasons. But going forward into next week to put this one behind them.
Well, going forward, Sully, you'd like to think there's someone going to kick 2 goals. Because there's... How many goals we had so far? So we've had 13 goals. We're 13 goal kickers. To worry, and that's fantastic. If you have 18 players kick 18 goals, that's 18 goals. But I mean, if you only have 9, you're not going to win a lot of games. So you really do need King or Membry or one of these smaller players to pop up and kick 2 or 3 this quarter and earn the 2 or 3. Because at the moment, it's like a shotgun. It's blast goes everywhere. You don't know who's going to be scoring, who's going to get the ball.
Final term underway here under the roof, and it is Marshall who gets it away, only as far as O'Meara, though, who raised his arms, got his hand pass away to Jaff, who's off and running, off to the outside to the running Day. Shocking kick. It ended up with McAvoy at centre-half forward. He's taken in a strong tackle, had Pryor, and he's gone.
Yep. Ben, I reckon it's just about 3 games away from having a go back to the farm. You've earned it.
So Sinclair provided the run, received the handball, kick to right half forward, bouncing ball now for Max King, who straddles the boundary, got rid of a tackler outside of the right boot. It's missing. Would have been one of the great goals of the season. First score of the fourth and final term is a minor one for the Saints.
I just don't know what was he. Oh, he had a shot for goal, but would you do that for me? I mean, that's got to be something that's you couldn't do twice in a lifetime.
From the kick in, it goes deep. McAvoy with intelligent tap over the back. He was looking for more, couldn't quite find him. Steal, though, of the Saints. Hand passes to Clark. He goes out wide. Day in prime position here. Goes the mark, and it's a lovely mark reaching over the top instead of just the defensive fist. Hawthorn with possession. Hand pass to Mitchell. Back to Day. Goes the barrel. Hits it end over end. Sharman with a big leap over the top. Gunston the hand pass. Back into congestion. Kaczynski heard a voice. Hand pass. Fired it in to O'Meara, but he was wrapped up immediately at true centre-half forward for the Hawks.
Up it goes. Marshall and McAvoy. McAvoy won it down on this occasion. McGuinness claimed the footy. Crouch claimed him, tackled him and just rolled him inside the forward 50 where we'll have another ball up. Up it goes. McAvoy won the tap down to Woods, shoveled it out to Ross, who got it to Hunter Clark. Puts a high ball into the middle of the ground. Day waits underneath it. Couldn't take the chest mark. It came out to Owens. He was hassled off it by Blank. Now Ward gets through the congestion. In fact, it was McGuinness. Ross picked his pocket. Back to Marshall, and the Saints are out now through Steele. A bounce in the middle of the ground. Inside 50, they go to a one-on-one. King and Sicily. Good battle. Sicily brought the footy to ground, but waiting to swoop was Higgins, who had a shot on goal and missed.
He had a shot on goal. He had teammates clear. I'm amazed that there wasn't a free kick there to King. He just about got mauled. Am I just reading it the right way? Was it?
Long kick out of defence from Jekka, gets over the pack, and then Scrimshaw trying to run onto it. He leaves it for a mate in Moore, who goes by hand to Scrimshaw. Over halfway now, the Hawks. Off to McGuinness. His hand pass is knocked down, though, and the Saints are coming back now the other way. Clark takes it himself, goes out wide, hits Memory. Right half forward, 2 kicks from goal. King makes the lead. He presents, and he marks.
Yeah, well done. That is really well done. It's plenty of space.
And gets 50 as well. Slapped out of his hands at the last moment there by Hardwick. And Owens gets stuck into him as well. So certain goal coming up for Max King to start the final 2.
Poor by Hardwick. Wasn't a certainty from Max King from where he was, but it is now.
And Stroll in from the top of the square to become the first multiple goal kicker this afternoon. He pops it through. King has 2. The Saints have 10. And the margin is now 7 goals straight. Percentage, the name of the game from here on for the Saints, you would feel.
Well, what I like about that was there was space, and Membry, as soon as he saw that space, he used the space and made King keep leading. And as a consequence, whether he would have kicked it from there or not, you would suspect he would have. I mean, he wasn't that far out. So the good thing about Memory there was his back and coming forward, the weight. Just silly play by Hardwick. I mean, that is just silly play. Just watching the replay. Obviously annoyed at something and knocks the ball out of the hand. I mean, that's almost like, I know the old thing about dragging the play, but that's the time when you take him off and just say, look, what's going through your head?
Saints out by 42 from the restart. O'Meara tried to get away. He was tackled by Crouch. He was held onto, the umpire said. He's maybe a little bit lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. He hasn't done a lot of the football, O'Meara, has he, for a midfielder? He's really struggled today. I think he's had about, 13 or something. Nearly 20s.
Send Hawthorn inside 50 now. Big pack of players for him. Patton with the fist over the back. It was roved by Gunston, who ran straight into trouble. Managed to get Boots a ball. Bruce at the fall of the ball. Got it out to Butler. Here is O'Meara again. High up and under. Looking for Newcomb. Couldn't take the mark. There's a free kick though. And we'll go the Hawks' way. So John Newcomb, who crashed the pack, was brought down illegally. And will kick for his second.
Well, as you said, Julie, if you go forward and you can become a player that's been tagged out of the game and go forward, and this will be his second.
Yeah, at least he's had an impact. He's had some sort of it certainly hasn't been his day, but he's had his moments.
Well, there's no free kick there. He's got it because he's got long hair. I mean, he's got you couldn't do that, Sooty.
I wish. There was a time.
So amazing. You're both jealous, aren't you, really?
Slight angle. 30 metres out, John Newcomb for his second of the afternoon. It looks pretty good from this angle. And he pops it through. And Hawthorn get the response. 10-12, 72 St Kilda. Hawthorn 5-6, 36 early stages of the fourth and final term. John Newcomb has 2.
I feel like the game's opened up a little bit. Have a few tired legs.
Yep.
A bit more space for the boys to run into.
Should mean a few more goals in this final term as well. So 6 goals the margin at the moment. Newcomb the first multiple goal kicker for the Hawks, and King just becoming the first multiple goal kicker for the Saints. If you missed the first half, it was pretty scrappy. Second half has been an improvement. Margin 6 goals. Back in the middle. Hawthorn trying to figure it out in the middle too, and Ward is across in the middle of the centre circles, right in front of the umpire as he was about to march in and bounce the ball. McAvoy in there. He leaps high, but Marshall won it down to Steele. He was dispossessed. Now McGuinness bounces off one tackle. Banana inside 50 is okay. It's central. Bruce roving front and centre as expected. Hand pass was good back to McGuinness, and now Ward got his arms free. Hand pass to McAvoy, mown down. Turnover ball. Chance for Crouch, although he couldn't grab the ball. McDonald lowered his eyes. Kick inside 50. Is it a arm chop? Yes.
Goodness gracious. Well, you've got no hope as a backline player, have you?
Butler gets the free kick for the Hawks.
Absolutely no hope as a backline player. Surely you're allowed to spoil the football. Unless he's grabbed his arm, I'll stand corrected.
I reckon he dragged it on the way down.
It just lingered, didn't it? Yeah.
You were a dirty backman in your day, weren't you?
I was a backline player, and nothing more than just a backline player, Sully.
It would have been a knuckle in the back of the head from you, I reckon.
Butler from 40 out, directly in front for a couple in a row. It didn't look like it almost had the penetration in the end. It's away to the left for one behind. 10-12-72, plays 5-7-37, the margin 35 points after 7 minutes in the final term.
One umpire, two, Sully.
Say again?
One umpire.
Yes, you can get away with a lot more than...
Well, they virtually umpire from the middle of the ground.
Lynott has it at left half back for the Saints. He goes back inside defensive 50 where Clark awaits. He goes further afield to Battle, who's in the right back pocket. He takes a bounce and kicks an end-on-end ball to a one-on-one contest on the wing. Favoured St Kilda. Ross roved it, gave it to Steele, who'd thought about giving it to Marshall. He took on Scrimshaw, the tackler. Did enough to affect the kick, did Scrimshaw, as he bounced it up the line. Hawthorn turned it over. Jacker picked it up, handed it off to McDonald, who goes into the middle of the ground where Newcomb awaits and marks. He shimmies around Brad Hill, gets onto his right boot, kicks to right half forward where Butler has to beat two Saints. It'll be the St Kilda jumpers that come up with it. They share it, and Sinclair ends up with it. Outside of the right foot was absolutely exquisite to Jack Higgins, who marks right in front of the commentary boxes.
Fair piece of skill, that one at full pelt. Higgins with the ball, drives it down the line, and King gets it out the back. Thought about the hand pass over the top. Instead, a lovely pass onto the chest there of Owens. Long running into the goal square, but he's going to ignore him and instead line up from 50, angle to the left.
For the people that aren't watching, the exquisite kicking power of King to actually gather the football, turn and find a target, it was just outstanding.
So Owens will line up. He'll kick from right on 50. Strikes that pretty well. It doesn't quite stay straight enough. Away to the left for one behind. 10-13-73 the Saints. 5-7-37 the Hawks after 9 minutes in this final term on Grandstand AFL.
Shows a bit, Owens. Quite like him as a young player. He's can only get better. He's got some good skills. Brave.
Harry Morrison with the kicking duties for the Hawks, and it's a good one. He finds Newcomb.
Jeez, he's an impressive kid, this one.
His stab pass is nice also to Mitchell on hands and knees. He plays on immediately by hand back to Newcomb, who kicks to the near wing. Day takes it off hands, hits up Gunston at right half forward. He's 65 out from goal. Could set it up. Kicks to a contest where Marshall and the big man are waiting. And it was a big man that brought it down. It was a big boy, in fact. Ben McAvoy stands tall. Takes the mark, 25 metres out directly in front.
Well, I reckon those Saints defenders would like to have that all over again. They really just dropped right off. Was it Marshall got caught behind?
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
So McAvoy, who was a St Kilda player once upon a time, Lamble on in and kick from directly in front and put it through for the Hawks. So the big boy takes a big mark. And kicks a goal. 10-13-73 St Kilda. Hawthorn 6-7-43, 11 minutes gone. Fourth and final term for Grandstand AFL.
It's funny, you're talking about the delivery there from Max King. A lot of those big key forwards are sensational field kicks. I mean, I reckon Buddy Franklin's one of the best field kicks in the game.
Lewis is a good kick generally.
Yep.
Hawkins is an excellent kick.
Yep.
Cameron. Charlie Curno's not bad. Big Mackay.
Yep.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it's the agility that you like about these players. They're not just a lumbering key forward. You know, I'd like to see King, when he's not getting a ball, start to come out as a between centre half forward and say the centre of the ground, where he can actually get a little bit of freedom. Players not hanging off him. He's so creative.
Through the last 4 goals here for the Hawks, so just hanging around for the time being. Windhager, though, for the Saints with the centre clearance, dragged off the kick, got it inside 50. King should have taken it in the end, got separation, shrugged a tackle, hand pass over the top, didn't quite find his teammate. In fact, he's playing holding the ball. Well, I thought he got rid of that with plenty of time. Anyway, Hawthorn flare it wide, and it's okay to Moore. Moore with the aggressive kick inboard. It's okay, too, to find McAvoy there away again.
McAvoy pops it over the top now to O'Meara as the Hawthorn players flood back inside forward 50. He goes deep, spots a one-on-one that he liked. I think it was Jacko, but the big fist came from behind. It gained 30 metres for the Saints. Hill took it, eventually gave it to Steele. And now they find Marshall in the middle of the ground, who releases Wood on the outside. He goes for a gallop and calls for King to get into a better spot, and he does. Marks on his chest in front of Blanket, right half forward. He's straddling the boundary. Thought about maybe setting it up into a better position. He's going to go back and take his time.
Well, as a key forward, you know, you've got to kick these. These are the ones that during a final series, you get presented with this. There's no options. You just have to back yourself and go for it.
2 goals, 3 for the afternoon. Max King, he'll kick from just inside 50. Tight angle, deliberate approach, sets it on its way. It'll sail through the near side for a minor score. So kicking boots not on today for Max King, who now has 2 goals, 4. Dicey kick in from Hardwick finds O'Meara.
O'Meara flares it out wide to Newcomb, who takes it at right half back. Worked his way into this game beautifully, Newcomb.
Well, he's going to get tagged because the way he plays, he can break you open, this kid, and Windover did a fantastic job generally of him.
Gunston roves it, meanwhile, then kicks an end over end, ball forward. It almost got out the back to Scrimshaw, who hand passed blindly forward. And Hanbury gets it out of there. In fact, it's Wood, but he's turned it over straight down the throat of Gunston. They go back inside 50. Here the Hawks.
Gunston, 75 metres out from goal, right half forward. Analyses, kicks it. A shallow entry in the end, almost across the ground, but it's inside 50 to Jaff. An unlikely forward 50 target.
Well, that's a great kick.
You can see it unfolding, couldn't you?
Oh, well, when you put Hill there, you can put Fenner, you can put Tutu from, what is it, Treasure Island or whatever it is. He cannot outmark anyone on the planet, Hill. So you might as well just put the ball anywhere near him, because he doesn't put any body on whatsoever.
A noted goal kicker, Chunkworth Jaff. He'll kick from just inside 50 with no real angle to speak of. Looks like it's missing to the far side for a minor score. Got the distance okay to Jaff, but he misses. They're behind only 10-14-74. The Saints, Hawthorn 6-7-43.
It was a full ground press for the Hawks. Very impressive on the kick-off here. They've pressed right up and forced St Kilda now to have to kick to a contest.
Kick short into the back pocket. Battle uses it beautifully to find Long. He's still at defensive 50 though. Hawks waving to each other further down the field. He goes to the wing. Giat's there. He was the spoiler in between 2 Saints. Won it down. McDonald floated through the pack nicely. Hand pass to Jekka. Inboard. Newcomb has to take this. He does. Strong hands on the point of the centre square. Now he goes to the top of 50. McAvoy had it spoiled away from him at ground level. Butler onto it for the Hawks. He goes back 20 metres by hand to Mitchell, whose first instinct was backwards. Then he flared it by foot out wide. McDonald has it 60 from goal. McDonald can just load up here. He'll just run to 50. Around the man on the mark. Does he have the journey? Not quite. It'll land in the goal square. Punched away from Sharman. It gets to 50 almost. Hawks with a 2-on-1. Nash in one motion, able to get the hand pass back to keep it in play. Gets it to Morrison, who pulled his left foot kick expertly. Beautiful stuff. Lovely touch around the corner. And Moore has it, 40 out. And about 10 metres in from the boundary, right forward pocket.
Instead of having a bit of a breather this quarter, the Saints now struggling.
Moore doesn't waste any time. Didn't have the distance in the end, but the mark is taken out the back by Scrimshaw. A little bit of lazy defending there from the Saints. That was almost on the goal line. Scrimshaw, the left footer, hemmed up against the left behind post. So he's going to have to snap this round on his right. Couple of steps, inboard, and delivers. And the door is ever so slightly ajar here for the Hawks. 10-14-74. Plays 7-8-50. And we've still got 7.5 minutes left on the clock here under the roof.
Rats be getting a little bit twitchy. Wouldn't he? This should have been dead and buried, but
yep.
Somehow Hawthorn have managed to work themselves back into this game. A couple of nice pieces of individual play there from Hawthorn. First it was Nash, clever handball over his head, and terrific kick.
Newcomb's been involved, hasn't he? He looks to have broken the tag, and he's been involved in the last 2 or 3 4-4
Well, I'm just wondering where he is. Now,
he's gone forward, he's out of the goal square now.
Well, I'm not 100% sure he's been on the ball. I think he might be just roving up there. He's lost his tag. This is where the bench at St Kilda have to be better to say, well, right, how did he get beaten in the first place? Was it one-on-one? Probably you won't put Windhaven out of a full back. But what you can do is take him when he crosses that line.
24 points the margin here. The Hawks have somewhat woken up out of the stoppage. It was Hanbury who gave it to Marshall, had time to assess, but just sends a long nothing ball towards right half forward. It fell into the lap of King, though, who tried to handball over his shoulder to line it. Made it difficult for him. He paddled it over the boundary, and the umpire says it was an insufficient attempt to keep it alive. It'll be a Hawthorn free kick at left half back. Will Day in possession.
Embry going back now for the Saints as well. This kick over his head. Marshall just worked McAvoy underneath that one and took the mark. Relieving mark at half-back for the Saints. Marshall out wide. Kick is okay to Sinclair. He pokes it 15 metres further forward to line it.
The line-up needs to go long. He's just not equipped to go short. If he goes long, he's got King to contest it.
And that's exactly where he does go. He's looking for King, who was held out of it by Sicily. Sicily ended up with the ball after it ricocheted off hands. Kick into the middle, lands in the lap of a teammate. Bounced out, though. Jath almost onto it, had a fumble at the last moment. Hardwick in there over the top. In fact, it's Moore, rather, and he holds it up. And we'll have a stoppage still inside the centre square here. So an opportunity for both teams. 24 points to margin, 19 played final term.
Well, contested ball, St Kilda own, but Hawthorn have won the contested ball this quarter without a shadow of doubt.
Marshall picks it up out of the ruck contest. High ball inside 50 for the Saints. Sicily had more time than he thought. Went the double fister. He'll rove his own ball. The cavalry arrives for the Saints, but Sicily did well enough to gather and feed the handball to Ward. Right foot ball up the wing is good. Finds O'Meara. He's got a player on him, Butler over the top, who marks and can go. Crowd rises. He shakes off Patton. Handball over the top, back to Ward. He releases McGuinness. He's at right half forward for the Hawks. He's got Dylan Moore making hay back to goal. He puts it in front of him. It bounces beautifully, and the Hawks have another. It's back to 3 goals, and the Hawks are running on air. 10-14-74, the Saints. And Hawthorn go to 8-8-56, 20 minutes gone, 4th and final term for Grandstand AFL.
They've got a real sniff, haven't they?
I was just watching Marshall, who could not... Look, he's been outstanding all day, Marshall, but he could not chase 1 yard. And it was done because the St Kilda forwards dropped off, and their midfield all of a sudden were left again. This is what happens with the Saints. They fall behind their player. I don't know if it's fitness, I don't know whether it's just work ethic, but Hawthorn found themselves in front leading onto the ball. Now that is a bad sign, with still plenty of time for the Hawks to win this game.
Almost 6 minutes left on the clock. We're 20 minutes into this final term. McAvoy in the middle. It's the Saints by 18. He'll get the clearance as well. McAvoy fires Hawthorn inside 50, going back with the flight. No mark taken. Butler in over the top. He almost ended up with it. It was O'Meara who won it down, and then McGuinness pokes his hand in there. Scrimshaw. It comes the way of Mitchell, looking for a hand pass. He got it to Moore. He's looking for a pass. Gets it to the top of the square. The Flyers. Newcomb is one of them. Bruce out the back. Goal! Margin 2 goals! Can you believe it? 5 in a row in the final term for the Hawks, and they are back within 2 straight kicks.
Well, it's going to be the centre square, and at the moment, Rowan Marshall is so tired. McAvoy has won that duel in this last 15 minutes, and the contested ball has been absolutely dominated by Hawthorn. I'm not going to tell players people how to coach, but you've got to get your absolute hardest players in and around the football, both as wingers as well, play slightly defensive, And your whole forward line should, as soon as that 6-6-6 finishes, come up the ground and play virtually from about 70 out back to about 30 out. Because then you can defend the ball that goes in. But it's going to start here. If they don't win the football out of the centre, the Saints, they're in real trouble losing this game.
Enormous centre clearance about to unfold here at Docklands. If you've just joined us, St Kilda 10-14-74 lead Hawthorn 9-8-62. They were up by 42 points at one stage.
And it's exactly what they've done, the Saints. They've brought everyone up, and that's what they have to do now, is move up into a 70-metre line.
So up it goes. McAvoy and Marshall that come down to Crouch. Inside forward 50 they go. St Kilda. Day at the back with the fist. It falls to King. Feeds the handball to Higgins. Right foot snap around the body all the way to the goal line. Sicily gets back. It's a minus score.
That's a mark.
He marked it.
Right on the line too. He gets it quickly out of there. Mitchell. And it's going to be another win for the Hawks, although shepherding, and still will receive the free kick for the Saints. Blake with a big mistake in that marking contest.
No, it was a fair decision. Silly play though, didn't he?
Yeah, it was.
Didn't have to do it. He was probably going to mark the football anyway.
It was a 2-on-2.
Yeah.
It's a bit too overt.
So Steele, high kick inside 50. McAvoy sets himself and takes a great mark, the ruckman. And he gets it off quickly to Day, who's off and running. Hand pass to Mitchell, almost ran himself into trouble, looping. Hand pass to Ward, who smashed it, a tackle by Marshall. No prior, held to him. The ball will be tossed up 40 metres from the Saints' goal.
He had Hardwick running on the outside as well, did Ward. He just couldn't quite get the hands free. Up it goes, inside attacking 50 for the Saints. Mitchell at ground level, he's spun by Long. Emerging with it was Morrison. He's held up by Mason Wood. It's held to him. And we'll have another ball up. 35 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Well, Memory's behind the ball. I don't get it. I do not get why Memory's coming out and playing behind the ball, because right now they need a forward, kick a goal.
King and McAvoy straight down to Steele. He's mobbed by a pair of Hawks. Mitchell fed it straight up to Morrison. Tumbler outside of defensive 50. Only as far as Marshall, who gave to Webster, and now Sinclair. His kick is very wide and it just eludes the target of Ross.
Importantly for the Saints, it's taking time off the clock though.
Well, it is, but you still need to score, Julie. Any score will probably hold on.
42 points they were up by. The 3-minute mark of this final term. The margin now just 12 from the stoppage. Crouch receives the hand pass, floats the ball inside 50. Throwing a boot at it was Hardwick, got through everyone. Oh, was that? Did he get a hand to it on that occasion? Not quite. It was knocked out of Jath's hands. Could have been holding the ball on another day. Long kick out of defence. Comes away a pattern for the Saints. He just wants to settle things down forward of centre wing.
Did really well, did Patton. Just out-muscled Connor McDonald. His younger opponent. He'll go inside forward 50 once again for the Saints. Pat will fly. Gee, big fly over the top from Day. Couldn't bring it down at ground level. Now bodies crash. Moore was in there, as was Day. Bottom of the pack was Ross. Still alive. McGuinness lays the tackle. An umpire says it's holding the ball. It'll be a Hawthorn free kick. Mason Wood a little bit stiff. And he's plucked one out there. McGuinness, short ball to Hardwick, across goal. He goes further afield now to Jath, who marks in front of Hill. He wants to go, Jath, but Hill holds him up smartly. Into the middle of the ground they go now, the Hawks. Unable to take a mark. St Kilda ball now through Crouch. Open goal square to seal the deal. He can't quite get it to go. It bounces across the face and through for a minor score.
That just lets him down, Crouch. I mean, that is just a horrible miss when you've got the open goal.
Might be enough anyway. 13 points now, the margin. Longo, the Hawks down the middle. McAvoy couldn't take the mark. Away with it comes Scrimshaw. High kick inside 50. Sicily's gone forward, sitting underneath this one. Couldn't take it. Newcomb at ground level. Sharman knocks it towards the boundary. Newcomb had almost beat him there. McDonald in over the top. Wrenching it free was Nash. Hand pass back in, ball was okay to Scrimshaw, to McGuinness, taking in a strong tackle. Nash tries to spin out of a tackle. No prior opportunity there. Butler has it. And we'll have a ball up 40 from Hawthorn's goal this time.
Really like the way Mitch has swung the Magnus. Happy to put Sicily forward, try and pluck a mark.
And they moved Butler onto the ground, which is just quite extraordinary by the Saints.
26 minute gone. Bruce pounces onto a loose foot. He evades one way, then the other. Handball to nobody. Still under the pump here, the Saints. Wonderfully done by Cooper Sharman. spun out of trouble, but his kick only went as far as Blank, who sent a tumbler inside forward 50. It was a shocking entry. St Kilda have the numbers. They're not out of jail yet. Left foot ball from Steele, clearing defensive 50. Mason Wood marks just inside the boundary line on the right half forward flank, on the right half back flank for the Saints. And it's all about clock management from here. Couldn't be much longer than a minute to go. Gee, straight through the hands of Winhager. Did well enough to work it with Ross. They'll move it forward here, the Saints. Off hands now. A semi-chance for the Hawks. Mitchell went low, couldn't gather. Players converge on centre wing. Still alive. Umpire circles and says, "I'll have the ball up, please," with less than a minute remaining.
Gee, the slow players in the middle for St Kilda are really slow. Now, they're slow. There's no speed whatsoever. That's where they've been absolutely smashed this quarter.
Thrown up, McAvoy down to O'Meara, off to Ward, off a couple of steps, gets onto the left. Sicily coming out, spoiled away from him. Newcomb the rover, cuts through traffic. Great hand pass out to Gias, off to Bruce, who should kick the goal off his left. He misses. Oh, you would have put that down for Luke Bruce most days of the week. 35 seconds left on the clock. 12 points the margin, 28 played final term.
Wouldn't that have made things very interesting? Luke Bruce on the left from 30 out. The pen was hovering over the score sheet. Kick in from fullback. King rises. Can't take the mark. Hacked off the deck by Day. It spills out to Ward, who's been enormous for the Hawks this afternoon. His kick inside 50 is chopped off by Sinclair. Short kick to Ross. And that'll just about do it, you would think, for the Saints.
Ross left half back. One of the more experienced campaigners for St Kilda. He goes long around the line. Marshall cleared away for King through one arm at it. Ward at ground level. Kicks back inside attacking 50. Moore onto it. Siren beats him. He kicks the goal anyway. It was a hold your breath moment for St Kilda, but they get the job done and they're in the 8 for the time being. When the Saints go marching in, oh how I want to be with St Kilda. When the Saints go marching in. So the final score here under the roof, it is St Kilda 12-point winners over the Hawks, 10-15-75 to 9-9-63. Goal kickers for the Saints, 2 to King, 1 to Higgins, Membry, Couch, Owens, Ross, Butler, Hanbury and Woods. For the Hawks, 2 to Newcomb and Scrimshaw, singles to Butler, Bruce, Moore, Gunston and McAvoy. Well, what a strange afternoon here, which has produced 4 points for Saints fans, but not overly convincing at times. Despite a scrappy first half, they established a pretty healthy lead. 7 goals they led by in the final term. The final margin ended up at 12 points. Hawthorn within 2 goals for the last 3.5 minutes of play. Well, I didn't expect that. Mick Bolthouse and Pat Sewell in that last term. But that game opened right up.
That was a great finish, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, I think it was the tired legs that opened the game up a little bit. The ground, boys couldn't cover the ground as much. And Hawthorn, they changed their style of play. Happy to be more calculating going forward, particularly in the third quarter. And then that last quarter, they just got it out the space, over the back, and the amount of running goals into space we saw in that last quarter. It's good football, great to watch.
Once the shackles were off, that's where things really did open up. We saw those couple of tags drop away. Newcomb went forward. Finn McGuinness started to roam a little bit more free, as did the St Kilda mids. And then big boy McAvoy started to get on top in the ruckers. Marshall soul rucking today. They had Tom Campbell in the team, decided to leave him out at the last moment. And that almost proved to be St Kilda's undoing, as he took a big mark and took a couple of big marks in defence as well. But they hold on, the Saints. But as you say, Maisie, not overly convincing. You'd be wriggling in your chair a little bit as a Saints fan.
Yeah, absolutely, especially in the back half of that last quarter after Hawthorn have ended up kicking the last 6 out of the last 7 goals of the game, either side of three-quarter time. So they were coming with an absolute rush and 2-goal win in the end for the Saints, which does put them inside the 8. I was counting percentage at the start of that final term. It was 103.6 for the Saints, and it did look like they could really eat into a couple of those other teams around them in terms of percentage difference, but they've only increased it to 104.3. So for the moment, importantly for Saints fans listening, they are inside the 8 with 11 wins from 19 games and a percentage of 104.3. If the Dogs win tonight, they will go back inside the 8 at the end of this round. In terms of the next couple of games for the Saints, they've got a few hard tests coming up. Geelong, Brisbane and Sydney. So it's a tough finish for the season for the Saints. Meanwhile, for the Hawks, they've got Gold Coast, Richmond and the Western Bulldogs. And if they bring a bit of what they did in that final term to those games, they're every chance to cause a couple of upsets on the way home. It's a weird game. It's a weird feeling because you almost feel like Hawthorn with the younger squad, the more inexperienced squad, throwing the magnets around like Sam Mitchell did. It's almost like they're walking away with more out of this game than St Kilda. Is that how you're feeling, Brad Silvic Molehouse?
100%. I mean, St Kilda have got so many questions they need to answer. I mean, they want to be finals contenders. After tonight's performance, there's certainly not that. And as you said, Maisie, Hawthorn after this, there's so much more to like about their list, about the way they're playing. And as I said, to use these final few games of this year to use as a springboard for next.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about Bess and who's this. Hawthorn had one decent quarter.
Yep. On
the back, I've said before the game, when you take Grisham out of the game, out of the side, you've got a very pedestrian midfield. Crouch just goes sideways and can't kick more than 35 metres, and even then he doesn't defend. You've got a lot of the football, but it's what happens with the football. Newcomb comes up from the forward line, gets beaten early, comes up from the forward line, gets involved in the game. Mitchell gets involved. McAvoy got involved, and McAvoy got involved because, and I'll say now, because Paddy Ryder's not playing. Because when you've got Marshall and Ryder interchanging off the bench, Marshall knows how to judge a game. But tonight, I thought Marshall was outstanding until the last 10 minutes. But that's when the Hawthorn kicked 2 or 3 goals and got him back in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame Marshall. He just said he couldn't go.
Yeah.
King kicked 2 goals 5, and some of them were mystery shots. So it's not fair to say, he was stiff. He was stiff on 2. Well, when I say stiff, he missed 2 that he should have got. 2 others, the bizarre shots on goal. Maybe he just lost confidence in his teammates around him. But I thought the Saints showed enough when they're playing middle to range sides, but they're going to get blown away when anyone's got pace through the middle because they just don't have leg speed. They'll be happy with Hanbury got through the game, but unless they inject, I don't know, maybe they have to rob Peter to play Paul and bring Sinclair up and just play him as a midfield. Windhager, what's his name? Hagan. Look, he did a wonderful job, but as the game went on, you can come back up. I've got to say I didn't see him pick him up, so Newcomb got him back in the game. So that's a bench thing. You've got to be able to judge from the bench. If there's a quick thing to change it up very quickly. Did it work early? Yes. Well, why not change it back to what it was working? So, yes, you're right. So they're going to beat a lot of middle range sides. They'll be hanging out to beat any top sides.
You mentioned Dan Hanbury there. Let's have a listen to what he had to say. Spoke to Fox Footy a short time ago on the field.
How do you feel off the back of your first game in about a year?
Yeah, those last 10 minutes I was cramping like never before, so it's been a hell of a journey the last couple of years, but working really hard with the rehab guys makes it worth it when you come back and play to win. It's a great feeling.
It has been a long time between drinks. Have you had a few moments where you weren't quite sure whether you were going to get another opportunity at this level?
Yeah, a few times this year I thought it was not far from being all over, but I was super confident in a few things that we needed to change up, and certainly the trip to Germany has worked wonders. I feel really good since that, so it's a week by week thing, and certainly very happy and grateful to get even an opportunity to play another game. So I love the game, and it's just an amazing opportunity to get to play again.
You've achieved a lot in your career. You've experienced most things there is to experience in football. How did you feel this morning waking up and then driving to the ground?
It's probably as nervous as I've ever been, to be honest. I obviously put in an amount of work, but you just never quite know. Super nervous, but a bit of relief right now. So
let's talk about that last 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes when the Hawks were pressing and they were taking every risk that was out there. You were one that we noticed. The boys was commentating upstairs and said your instructional talk was obvious. You could see the hands were moving. What were you saying and what were you trying to get across to the group?
Just late in the game, I was just trying to get some game state going on and making sure we're cutting off their dangerous plays. They go through the corridor a lot, so just covering that off. But it was a really good team effort. I mean, some of our leaders, Steele, Crouch, these guys stood up, and it was just a great team performance.
You see the game really well. You've been watching from the sidelines all year. What impressed you with the performance tonight? What was the key thing you want to take away and speak to the boys after this?
Well, firstly, we knew Hawthorn were going to come at some stage. They've actually had a really good last month, so I was pleased to finish off that way. But I think our pressure, I think it's above 2 for most of the game. I think 45, 50 tackles in the first half. That's a St Kilda brand. Massive 3 weeks ahead, and we've just got to try and bring that every week.
A couple of standouts. Big Rowan Marshall, I think, had probably his best game of the season. I thought he was sensational. How did you see him?
Yeah, his contest work, particularly in the first 3 quarters, really set us up as mids and gave us first use. So when he plays well, it goes a long way. So
great to see you back.
Dan Hanbury there speaking to Fox Footy downstairs. The players still on the arena, accepting the Police Cup as well that these two teams play for each and every year. St Kilda 10-15-75. Just getting over the line in the end of the Hawks. 9-9-63. They led by 42 points at the 3-minute mark of the final term. And the Hawks clawed it all the way back to within 2 straight kicks with still about 5 minutes left on the clock. Let's head to Ned Hall. A bit of a Commonwealth Games update. Gives you about 60 seconds or so, Sully, for the votes and the better players this afternoon. Ned Hall, good afternoon to you. Give us the latest from Birmingham.
Well, we've seen success already this afternoon, Maisie, in the wheelchair marathon with Madison de Rosario setting a games record to take out the gold medal there. A gruelling course in 1 hour and 56 minutes. Jake Lappin was 5th in the men's version of that event. The men's road marathon at the moment, Australia's Liam Adams from Melbourne is leading after an hour's worth of running. He's a second ahead of a chasing pack, so they're hot on his heels. But the Melbourne-born runner is going particularly well at the moment and out in front with over half of the marathon course completed. And the ladies' marathon, that gets underway as well in around quarter of an hour from now. Disappointing news, though, from the rugby sevens. Australia's gone down to Fiji in the women's competition there. Tries to Madison Levi and Demi Hayes, the skipper, were not enough there. The men due to take to the field shortly to take on Kenya, and a big full packed programme of swimming coming up as well, with all of Australia's key names in the heats tonight before the finals in the early hours of tomorrow morning.
Plenty of action still to come, Ned. Thanks for your contribution this afternoon. St Kilda 10-15-75. Hawthorn 9-9-63. We will get down to the rooms and hear the winner's song in just a second. Before we get there, though, Sully, we might just grab the better players for you in the 3-2-1 in the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Yes, so very quickly, 3 votes to Steele. I thought he was fantastic. Hard on the inside, used the ball well. Marshall, 2 votes. Besides his last 10 minutes, he was a dominant player on the ground. And you could have thrown a blanket over a number of guys for the final vote, but with much consultation with Michael Malthouse, we've gone with Patton.
With Patton, all right, off half-back. They were pretty good. The half-backs for the Saints had a fair bit of work to do with that last quarter, probably more than they'd hoped to. Let's get downstairs and hear the song from a winning St Kilda outfit this afternoon.
Let's go! Hey! We're the Saints! Go marching! Oh, when the Saints go marching! Oh, I want to be St Kilda! Oh, when the Saints go marching! Oh, when the Saints! Oh, when the Saints go marching! Go marching! Oh, when the Saints go marching! Oh, I want to be St Kilda! Oh, when the Saints go marching!
There we go, the winning rooms downstairs. St Kilda with 4 points in the bank and importantly inside the 8, but it's all uphill for them from here on in. Geelong, Brisbane and Sydney to come. Mick and Sully, can you see them pinching a win or two there?
Well, I'll need to, because right now, if you analyse who the Dogs have got also, and who Richmond have got, then you'd suspect that Richmond might jump the lot of them.
So Richmond have got Brisbane tomorrow at home.
And that'll be tough. I think Brisbane might get them.
Port Adelaide.
Should win that.
Then Hawthorn.
Well, on today's performance, they should. And this is the danger. Should. So that gives them 2.
And Essendon to finish.
Well, it might be in their own hands there.
Yeah. It's an incredible run in. I mean, for especially that 8th spot. And things can go wrong as well for a couple above. If Carlton lose tonight, then they've got a really tough run with Brisbane, Melbourne and Collingwood to finish. So it's they wouldn't want to slip up tonight. It's an intriguing finish to this season, and we'll get the final 8 set. But you'd still think, despite the win this afternoon and despite the fact they are in the 8, the Saints, it's still a bit of an uphill battle from here, which is amazing considering they were 8-3 as well to start this season. So they really have hit the brakes through this middle part of the year.
I'll notice this without notice, Uli. One word: who will win the premiership? I think just interesting right now because
Geelong.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to go Geelong now, but geez, didn't Melbourne make a statement?
That might change after tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Melbourne's test is 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row.
Yep.
Because have they found that by? I know we're talking about Saints and Hawthorn, but interesting enough, when you have a look at a couple of little change-ups in their side, suggests that maybe the kids that were hanging on last year and hanging on the coattails of Petrarca and Oliver and Gorn have fallen off, and now we know we have to start to look at different players in different roles, because it's going to be the toughest side that's going to win the premiership this year. You won't get I don't think you get an easy one.
Yep, no, it is going to be an amazing run into September. For most of you, you're off to Kardinia Park next from Geelong for the Cats and the Western Bulldogs. For listeners in South Australia, you're off to the Adelaide Oval for the Crows hosting the Blues. Mick and Sully, thanks very much for your efforts this afternoon. Chris Rowbottom, thanks for flying across Bass Strait. Jules on the buttons and Andrea back in the studio. A big win here for the Saints, although it looked like it was going to be a lot more. And then the Hawks came charging home. A 2-goal victory for St Kilda, adding their names to Collingwood and Sydney as winners on this Saturday. Big night of footy coming up. Season defining.